Barrigan didn't die like everyone thought? He survived through his crown, and fell into the elemental countries before being found by the Shodaime Hokage only to be sealed away out of fear. Many years later, Naruto finds the crown in the forbidden scroll of sealing, and puts it on, with interesting results. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat in the hospital bed. A vast majority of his body was still in a cast, and the huge beating from Tsunade leaving phantom pains to his body that were healed. It didn't help that his grandson had visited him recently, asking about how the blonde woman with huge boobs, a sign his grandson was a pervert in the making, had defeated him for the title of Hokage, and what was going on with the red-haired kid that everyone has been expressing mixed feelings about. Of course Hiruzen couldn't answer the boy since it would open the door to new questions, and the old retired Kage didn't have the courage to answer them. "Your look well, my old rival," remarked Danzo after he walked, hobbling slightly with his cane, and motioned for his rude shinobi to wait outside. "Ah yes, now this particular visitor was here. You try taking Tsunade's abuse, and look this healthy," countered Hiruzen with Danzo letting out a chuckle. "I'll pass, but thanks for the offer," replied Danzo while moving over to the window to gaze out at the outside world. "Why are you here?" "Certainly not a social chat between two old men about battles long since over," said Hiruzen while Danzo just scoffed. "I came here to inquire on the current situation regarding the former Kyuubi Jinchuriki and our new Hokage," replied Danzo while saying the title like it was tainted by Tsunade. "So you can manipulate her with that Sharingan behind those bandages?" questioned Hiruzen with Danzo stiffening slightly. "So you know about it. I thought you had gone slightly senile," said Danzo with Hiruzen scoffing at him this time. "Do you really think I am that naive, Danzo? That I don't know why you haven't taken the proper treatment to heal whatever wounds your body supposedly has behind the bandages on your face? Clearly you are the one going senile," replied Hiruzen with Danzo turning to face him with a serious face now. "The woman and the boy?" questioned Danzo while reminding the other man while he was here with Hiruzen sighing. "It's getting worse. The next generation is demanding answers, the public is in an uproar, and that's not even the worst part. Tsunade and Barragan now know about the account," answered Hiruzen with Danzo's seeable eye widening in surprise. How did Barragan discover the altered records? I thought the bank statements you supplied to him could not be proven to be altered?" questioned Danzo with Hiruzen sighing. "I thought so too, but it's clear Minato and Kushina kept their own set of financial records in their home. He must have compared them to find the discrepancy, and forced the bank manager to tell him the truth about the pilfering. Tsunade was informed of this soon after by Barragan, and she then asked me about it," answered Hiruzen with Danzo snarling in frustration. "Don't you know what this means? Years of planning, years of preparing to acquire the land rights to Whirlpool Country legally through the money we took, and molding the boy into a naive fool. Gone. Ruined. Kushina denied us access no matter how much we tried to pressure her into it using sentimental reasons, and Tsunade was out of the question, because she would have told Kushina before they both agreed to leave it alone," stated Danzo, furiously with Hiruzen sighing again. "I know, Danzo. Naruto was our last hope in this matter. Every other potential Uzumaki we know could have escaped has hidden themselves well, and the one here in Konoha is now lost to us. Even if we produced twice what we had acquired to buy the land rights to Whirlpool, and Uzumaki would have the final say, and could take it away from us. Hence why the Fire Daimyo wanted us to be careful regarding Naruto's conditioning, and using the boy to acquire the vast resources of that land," replied Hiruzen with Danzo scoffing. "He would have been better suited for my root program, made him subservient, and he could have complied easier to our whims," countered Danzo with Hiruzen sighing at this argument once again arising between them. "And I told you, Danzo, that Jinchuriki without emotions are not safe. Besides, even if what you wanted was possible, the international laws of the elemental country states and Uzumaki can only give the land rights to another country if it is done of their own free will, and done in front of all 5 daimyos present. Not to mention it must be done in a room where the person stands around lie detection seals, which can also detect mental conditioning, and thus we would lose the rights to Whirlpool had we followed through with your plan," replied Hiruzen to Danzo while the Warhawk snarled in disgust. "Emotions are the bane of all humanity? If I ever became Hokage, I would see to it that all things emotional would be removed, and everything would function like clockwork," stated Danzo with Hiruzen letting out a chuckle, "and make Konoha stagnant. Without emotions we as humans cannot think outside the box, new jutsus could not be developed, and our actions would be predictable. All of our enemies would soon learn how to beat us at every turn," countered Hiruzen with Danzo making some form of facial motion that seemed like half a sneer. "As if your plan to make Konoha strong again with a worthy successor that would have surpassed you, and the Yondaime Hokage was any better. Your gamble was hoping that someone from Konoha was strong enough reach that level long after you were dead and possibly strong enough to control the Kyuubi Jinchuriki," replied Danzo with Hiruzen grimacing slightly at the plan he had created, which he argued in terms of choice to use, and ultimately it had been the Sandaime who won the argument after putting multiple holes in the other man's plan. I was hoping to have Uchiha Itachi take my place when the time was right since he was strong enough, and his Sharingan could suppress Kyuubi easily, but after what happened 4 years ago, stated Hiruzen with Danzo cursing the Uchiha clan for acting so rash in their quest for power over Konoha. And of course your foolish plan in tricking the boy into making that ridiculous promise to one day be Hokage, knowing it was a promise that would never be kept. Not with the instructions you left to be handed to your chosen successor, and the special Anbu unit standing by to kill the brat. Should the Jinchuriki actually get to sit in the seat of power? Added Danzo with Hiruzen, frowning. The boy's purpose in life is to serve a Hokage, not become one. I merely gave him the impossible dream to shoot for until he gave up, and leave his offspring to do it. Not like that it would happen, since I made a secret law forbidding all Jinchuriki along with their offspring from being Hokage of Konoha, stated Hiruzen with Danzo smirking. A law you would of course made known to the councils and clan heads in the event of your death before choosing a successor yourself, added Danzo with Hiruzen nodding. Jiraiya knew about it. I told him to make it known to you, and the others in the event the brat actually made it that far to qualify, replied Hiruzen with Danzo smirking for a brief moment. Well played on your part, Hiruzen. Though considering the boy is no longer a Jinchuriki, we now have a problem with the fact the boy could become Hokage, and can repeal your law, stated Danzo with Hiruzen scowling. Everything that I have envisioned in molding Konoha to become an uncontested shinobi village is being cast down before my very eyes, weakening the Ninja Academy in order to produce subpar genin, letting their Jounin senseis pick up the much-needed slack, and using you along with your officially disbanded root shinobi to make the enemies outside the village swell over time, is unraveling, replied Hiruzen with Danzo snorting slightly. Tsunade and the brat won't understand why you did what you did since taking office again after the Yondaime's death. They don't believe it's the right thing to do despite our generation knowing better after living through 3 wars, replied Danzo with Hiruzen nodding. Konoha must constantly be baptized in battle. I learned that near the end of my term as the Sandaime Hokage before I appointed Minato to be my successor. After the last war ended, I planned to retire while giving Minato advice on how to proceed, and make sure he understood the need to be constantly active. While he understood this to some degree, I also knew he didn't fully agree with us occasionally starting fights in secret rather than ending them after being hit first, and justifying our actions later. When I resumed the position of Hokage, I knew this was my chance to change things with yours, and Jiraiya's help when the time came. With Jiraiya's spy network in place, monitoring Konoha's enemies, we could manipulate them when the time was right, and make sure they were the aggressors. When the time was right, your root shinobi would provoke them in to attack us. Our shinobi from the next generation would be thrown into the fires of war, and only those that survived would be worthy of being called Leaf Shinobi, with the strongest one of them all would become Hokage, answered Hiruzen with Danzo nodding at the twisted yet ingenious plan the former Hokage had cooked up. Provided our enemies didn't overwhelm us when the war started, remarked Danzo at the plan hinging on their enemies not becoming too strong while the next generation doesn't become too weak. That wouldn't happen. You and Jiraiya would make sure what forces our allies had at the time would be used as cannon fodder while Konoha waited until our enemies were weak enough to handle by ourselves. By that point, Naruto would have been the humble and a submissive Jinchuriki vessel we wanted, with his power wiping out any potential threats he was told about. By the time the smoke had cleared, Konoha would be on top. A true successor to the title of Hokage would have been chosen, and Naruto would be every bit the weapon we wanted him to be while finding a dream far out of reach, answered Hiruzen with Danzo smirking at him. By which point, mentioning of Whirlpool would have come along, and he would be too distracted by his mother's homeland to focus on being Hokage. Then, with some nudging by the right people, the brat is convinced to settle down, form a family with a few of our own well-placed female kunoichi I recommend to the councils to approve, and we now have a new line of potential Jinchuriki candidates with Uzumaki blood in them capable of holding the fox when its vessel became too old to hold the demon, added Danzo with his former rival nodding. It would have been glorious. The Leaf would stand tall, strong, and the chosen Hokage would have eventually decided to destroy the other shinobi villages after a well-placed mental manipulation from one of the Yamanaka clan members you have en route. By the time anyone could even consider opposing the Leaf, it would be too late, and history would only what Konoha did for the greater good, replied Hiruzen with Danzo nodding. Yes, it would be glorious. It still can if we play our cards right despite these setbacks, said Danzo with Hiruzen shaking his head. No. I received word from one of the Anbu still loyal to me currently watching Tsunade that she is punishing Uchiha Sasuke for his actions after meeting Barragan. Apparently the Uchiha boy made the foolish attempt in trying to kill him, replied Hiruzen while he glared at Danzo for carrying out his own plan to spoil the last Uchiha. Damn it, If that weren't bad enough, Tsunade has already released the information about what happened the night Kyuubi attacked, and how it was done at the hands of an Uchiha wearing a mask. I've tried to do crowd control on the matter while stating it was a rogue Uchiha long since dead, but the damage is already done, and the people are not being so receptive to Sasuke anymore. Stated Danzo with Hiruzen, cursing. We can't let this continue any further. Tsunade needs to be removed from her position so Jiraiya can become Hokage since neither of us is young enough to take the job. Stated Hiruzen with Danzo reluctantly nodding. It won't be easy, Hiruzen. I'll need to get in touch with Orochimaru in Rice Country to begin countering this. With the Chunin exams coming up 6 months from now, it would be the perfect time to remove Tsunade in a public fashion, and wash our hands clean of her ilk forever, replied Danzo, knowing the Sannin was already planning to do it and was secretly helping him with it, something he was sure his former rival already knew thanks to Jiraiya. We can use it to have Naruto focus his attention on my old student and Jiraiya can string him along until the time is right where seals can be made to restrain him before altering his mindset the way we want, Hiruzen stated with Danzo nodding while making sure that when the mind of the brat was altered, it would make him loyal to the Warhawk, and not the former Hokage. I'll make the arrangements, said Danzo before leaving for the door, and while you do that, I will have Jiraiya make some arrangements of my own in using our spy in a certain organization to come after Naruto and his parents. They are the only ones capable of having a chance against Naruto and his family, thought Hiruzen, since he didn't trust Danzo to succeed on his end. It was always good to have a backup plan. With Tsunade. Care to repeat that again? I know Barragan-sama restored my youth, but clearly I have an inner ear problem and misheard your request regarding the Uchiha, said Tsunade while members from the Civilian Council along with the Shinobi Advisory Council stood slightly behind them. It's not a request, Hokage-sama. We are demanding the immediate release of one Uchiha, Sasuke, from his detention cell. He is the last of his clan, and must be treated with the proper respect a boy like him deserves, stated Hamura with Tsunade glaring at the old man. The Sharingan is part of Konoha just as much as the Senju clan. To lock the boy up is like spitting on the clan itself, added Kaharu with Tsunade's eyes narrowing. Just like Konoha spit on the Uzumaki clan. Questioned Tsunade with the people in front of her scoffing. They're insignificant compared to the true founders of Konoha. The Uzumaki clan only had a hand in the leaf through the arranged marriage your grandfather had with that woman he took for a wife, remarked Kaharu, with Tsunade slamming her fist on her desk in anger. That woman was my grandmother and her name is Uzumaki Mito. Also, you seem to be forgetting the fact it was the Uzumaki clan that gave us the leaf symbol, and that some of the shinobi in this village still wear their whirlpool symbol on their uniforms. Yet this village treats the one here with Uzumaki blood like garbage, exclaimed Tsunade with Hamura and Kaharu wincing at their tactical error. That part of Konoha's history has long been forgotten by the populace, and shall remain forgotten since no one cares about the Uzumaki clan. It's a waste of money to keep such memories of an insignificant clan alive, stated one civilian council member passionately while the others agreed with him. Just as it is to pamper the last Uchiha. I've had all the financial records from every store the boy visited since you've started this little crusade to wipe his ass whenever he needed tissue paper, and my findings had me seeing red, stated Tsunade while pulling out all the financial records from key stores within the village. What are you talking about, Hokage-sama? Asked one of the now nervous civilian council members. Giving Sasuke free equipment, charging him next to nothing in terms of food when he is out shopping, covering his expenses when eating out, and giving him just about anything the brat could ever want with little to no money being returned in the effort? Did you put him on a tab you have yet to call in? Questioned Tsunade with the people in front of her now starting to sweat. We all believe Uchiha Sasuke would reimburse us once he killed his brother, and became clan head after taking several wives chosen with our help, so the clan could be rebuilt to its proper status and being a major clan of Konoha, answered Councilman Hiruno with Tsunade narrowing her eyes at him. Really? Did he promise that to you? Do you know for a fact that the boy will return on your little investment? Questioned Tsunade with each of the council members looking at one another. We would remind him of it when the time came, answered Kaharu with Tsunade just giving her a "Are you serious? Look, and you expect the Uchiha to honor it? To not say fuck you I'm not paying when asked to financially reimburse for all the time you spent giving him just about everything he has ever demanded from Konoha? Questioned Tsunade with the council members looking at each other. No, was the simple reply from one of them. You are all Bacchus. Get out of my office, commanded Tsunade with the group in front of her leaving out the door in a rush. Again Tsunade-sama? Asked Shizune after walking into the room to see Tsunade was slouching against her chair. What do you think? They keep coming in every few hours making demands of me for the Uchiha. Ever since they heard I had him thrown in the cell for attacking Barragan, they have been bitching and complaining about how unfair it is to lock away someone from the Uchiha clan because he is the last loyal one left. If it had been Naruto, they would be parading in the streets, and not raise a single fuss, answered Tsunade while wishing Barragan or Naruto would come along to kill these fools. How long do you intend to keep him in one? Asked Shizune with Tsunade sighing. If I had my way, Uchiha Sasuke wouldn't leave that cell until the Yamanaka clan signs off that the boy is sane, which I highly doubt he is due to what his brother did to him, and no form psychological counseling was done after it happened. Inoichi had expressed his concerns about the boy during a meeting, but my former sensei ignored him, and I suspect it was done for that reason, to make the boy's sanity to be strained until a certain point in time, where it would be broken. Though to what end, I have no idea, and part of me doesn't even want to know, answered Tsunade with Shizune nodding sadly. What is going to happen to him? Asked Shizune with Tsunade sighing again. The fire daimyo has an invested interest in Sasuke, because someone told them and was told about how the Sharingan eyes of the Uchiha can suppress the power of a Bijou, and considering we don't have one of them anymore, answered Tsunade with Shizune nodding. The fire daimyo wants Uchiha Sasuke to continue his path as a shinobi and to awaken his Sharingan eyes to further protect the country, Shizune filled in. Exactly. The fire daimyo also wasn't happy when I mentioned what happened with Naruto, and how Barragan killed the fox. He blames Naruto and Barragan for the loss what he considers his weapon against Fire Country. I had to remind him that Barragan was an entity stronger than Kyuubi, and depending on Naruto's mood when awakening would determine whether the boy would lash out at Konoha, answered Tsunade while Shizune sighed and rubbed her temples. Frustration. So the Uchiha get a free pass for now, and the fire daimyo wants us to ensure Naruto doesn't go on a rampage, added Shizune with Tsunade nodding. Hence why Sasuke will stay in his cell for 1 week. Hopefully that will give him time to cool off and think straight, stated Tsunade, though she seriously doubted it. You don't really believe that the Uchiha will actually straighten up, do you, Tsunade-sama? Asked Shizune with Tsunade scoffing. Of course not, but the fire daimyo overrides my authority on the matter, and only kept it at a week to appear impartial and being merciful to the brat, answered Tsunade while she wished to smash the smug little man's face into mush. Sadly, she couldn't do that. Not yet anyway. Naruto's mindscape 2 months later? Our time is running short, Naruto. We have another week tops before our souls can no longer be here inside your body, stated Minato with Naruto nodding, and didn't want them to leave. I don't want you to leave, stated Naruto with his mother hugging him from behind. If there was a way to do it, Naruto, I would gladly stay here and fight beside you, said Kushina while Naruto was deep in thought about the matter. Maybe there is a way? Grandpa Barragan, called out Naruto with Barragan appearing in front of him moments later via Sunito. Yes, what is it, brat? Questioned Barragan. Are my parents' bodies still well preserved? Asked Naruto with his parents raising an eyebrow at him. Your mother's body was left untouched in her coffin. Your father's I had to put my hand through his stomach, where the seal was to get to the yin chakra of the Kyuubi, though it might be possible to reverse it with a little help from your godmother. My ability to reverse aging, answered Barragan with Minato sputtering. You put a hole through my stomach, exclaimed Minato before falling into a state of depression. Oh, shut up, you big baby. I spent months carrying Naruto before going into labor and giving birth, countered Kushina with Minato backing away from her with his hands raised in surrender. That aside, I think if we play our cards right, you can come back to life, and maybe even get stronger too, stated Naruto before explaining his plan to all of them with Barragan thinking it over. Interesting. The bodies are mostly preserved. It should work, at least in theory, replied Barragan with Naruto smiling. I want to give it a try, said Naruto before he looked at his parents. I agree, son. We're going to be gone soon if no attempt is made, so let's give it a try, said Minato with Kushina nodding. I say we go for it. Databane, exclaimed Kushina with a fist in the air. I'll speak to Tsunade so we can make the arrangements, said Barragan before he was gone. If this somehow doesn't work, I just want you guys to know that I do love you, and I thank you for everything, said Naruto with Kushina and Minato smiling at him. Hey, don't talk like that. This will work, stated Minato with Kushina nodding. Damn straight it will, and we feel the same way when it comes to you, Naruto. We will always love you no matter what, said Kushina before holding him tightly and Minato joining in. With so little time left for them, it seemed that the best thing to do now was to just hold each other closely for as long as possible. With Barragan, you want me to help you do what? And with whom? Asked Tsunade while seeing the former Espada not look threatened by her tone of voice. The boy figured it out. I'm actually quite impressed. If we heal up the injuries done to the bodies using your medical skills, in combination with my reversing of time, we can then implant their souls into the bodies, and possibly bring Naruto's parents back to life, answered Barragan, with Tsunade rising from her chair and walking to the window. You don't know if it will work, Barragan-sama. It's only a theory, and an unfounded one, countered Tsunade with Barragan shrugging. They are all willing to take the risk. They have nothing left to lose. In roughly a week at most, his parents will be gone, and all that will be left is a memory," replied Barragan with Tsunade letting out a sigh. "I'll do it. But this must be done with extreme confidentiality here, Barragan-sama. If the councils find out, they make sure every idiot on the planet knows. They'll think we are doing something against nature, and try to stir up a lot of shit. I know you have more than enough power to possibly turn everything and everyone in the world into a rotting corpse, but I would prefer to avoid that at all costs," stated Tsunade with Barragan nodding. "Of course, Tsunade-san. If all goes according to plan, our actions might even make the two even stronger than before, and become something else entirely," replied Barragan with the former Espada grinning in an almost evil-like manner. "What do you mean?" asked Tsunade with a hint of curiosity in her voice. "I can't say for sure. But should everything happen like I think it will, I'll explain it to you," answered Barragan with his smile never leaving him. Hokage gravesite sometime later. "We should start with Kushina first since the fatal wounds done back then to her body are not as bad as Minato's," stated Shizune while Shizune agreed while sending a look to the former Espada that told him it was partially due to his earlier actions. The wound was closed thoroughly enough, a little touch-up won't hurt either, and with Barragan-sama making the body look healthier with his power should help when the soul is transferred in, added Tsunade while working on the scarred area. That had once been the fatal injury caused by Kyuubi during the attack. To the side, Barragan waited patiently, knowing to demand they hurry with their work that required pinpoint precision would be foolish on his part, and watched the two women work on healing up old wounds. When they finished, Barragan would use his new ability to reverse age to make the body healthy looking to the point where it would still be dead, but only by a few seconds, and after the souls were put in each body, one at a time, the theory of his interactions would bring both of the boy's parents back to life, and that was at the very least. At most, the boy would have more than just his parents. "She's all set for you, Barragan-sama. We need to get started on Minato on account of his additional injury," said Tsunade while muttering about doing extra work, and hoping this was successful. "Very well. Here we go, my dear," replied Barragan, as he kneeled before the body of the red-haired woman, and put his hand on her chest. "Hey, don't get fresh with my wife. You're in our son's body," exclaimed Minato while Kushina's soul left Naruto's body, and was heading toward her own. "Shut up, you idiot. I require physical contact for this to work, and it must be close to the heart," thought Barragan while Naruto had his eyes closed, and trying to block out the fact his hand was touching his mom there even though it wasn't by his choice. As for Kushina herself, her body glowed crimson for a moment before a small hollow hole appeared, and a skeletal jaw of a canine-based animal appeared around Kushina's mouth with incredible spiritual pressure being generated from her. A Zanpakuto, in its sheath with a crimson wrapping at the bottom of black hilt, and a fox mouth at the top making it look like the blade was shooting out of it. Barragan raised an eyebrow at the sight of this development. Kushina herself let out a gasp of air, a silent scream wanting to escape her mouth that reminded the former Espada of one Tia Haribel with both representing how human can die via sacrifice, and used more of his strength to keep the woman down, when she arched her back while moving her limbs, wildly for a moment. "Kushina!" exclaimed Shizune worriedly while seeing the event unfold before her. "Focus, Shizune. Once we are done here with Minato, we'll give Kushina once over, and then focus on Minato again when Barragan does the same to him," commanded Tsunade with her assistant nodding, and the two went back to patching up Minato. Various wounds on his body from what he suffered during the Kyuubi's attack along with the large fist-size hole Barragan made to the torso where the seal had been. She was certain Minato would have some phantom pains from a while. By the time they finished with Minato, they were able to see Kushina had stopped her wild thrashing movements, and was looking around, at the area around them, breathing a little heavily, but for the most part she seemed to have calmed down, and Barragan had explained the reason for the new additions to her form. While initially freaked out by the hollow mask around her mouth, screaming soon after feeling it with her hands, and the sound being muffled in the process, the former number 2 Espada calmed the woman down, explaining that if she focused on the mask, and commanded it to retreat into her skin that it would obey for a time. The more she did it, the longer the act would be sustained like a muscle being worked repeatedly until becoming second nature. And the additional powers that came with this changes Minato would also go through, and that Barragan would spend his remaining time before the merger with Naruto to teach them how to control their hollow powers, their Zanpakutos, and using them would be another matter since no ranker had the exact same power when it came to unleashing such things. "We need to hurry. While my own power is keeping hers from oppressing you both, it will be enough to make certain worms in this village take notice of our actions, and send their mindless drones to discover what we've done," said Barragan knowing. Any use of such spiritual pressure for even a few seconds would be enough for agents of his enemies to see the need to spy on them. We're just about done here? We'll give Kushina a once-over while you focus on Minato, replied Tsunade with the trio switching position where they were kneeling. I'm going to be feeling pain in my torso, aren't I? Questioned Minato with Barragan smirking slightly while he made the man's body reverse itself from rotting away. Maybe. What do you care? You'll be alive again? What's a little phantom pain to being able to live and raise your son? Stated Barragan while Minato sighed within his son's body before the former Espada put a hand on the dead man's chest to begin the transfer. And just as Barragan predicted, Konoha shinobi appeared, some loyal to Tsunade while others were loyal to Danzo, and the councils due most of them being en route. Those that weren't en route were loyal to the councils because they had long since hated Naruto, and believed that his position as Jinchuriki was meant to be subservient to everyone in the village. Not to mention the councils paid them more, and with incentives that were far greater than what the current, or even previous Hokage gave out at the moment. Tsunade, what is the meaning of this? Demanded Kaharu, as she saw Barragan doing something to the late Yondame's corpse, and was shocked to see Uzumaki Kushina rise from the ground with the bone-like canine-shaped mask covering her mouth. It's none of your business, Tsunade shot back while helping Kushina up while Shizune handed the redhead her Zanpakuto. I think it is. This experiment you've been performing here is worse than Orochimaru's own handiwork. You've toyed with the dead, made them into abominations, and you used the Yondaime Hokage along with his wife. This is grounds to have you removed from your position as Hokage, and be charged for treason. Exclaimed Hamura while neither person on the Shinobi Council saw Danzo smirking slightly since he could use this to nominate Jiraiya to take over for Tsunade. Granted he could nominate himself, but that would put him under the watchful eyes of Barragan, and Naruto later on when the boy had awakened. Danzo was actually surprised this was happening since this wasn't the Edo Tensei, which was a forbidden jutsu made by the second Hokage years ago, and the fact that Kushina was sporting a strange bone-like structure similar to Barragan meant the former Espada gave Kushina that power. If she could get it, as well as Minato from the looks of things, that meant his root shinobi, and possibly himself could be given that kind of power. It seemed to extend life, maybe even cheat death itself, and with Danzo's own additional powers surgically put in place would make him unbeatable. The question was how to subdue the trio with this power so he could take it from them. Before any further pondering could be done on the situation at hand, more spiritual pressure was released, only this time from Minato, as he arched his body, a piece of hollow mask forming over the top right side of his face that down to one of his eyes with black tribal marks covering the bone structure, and new eye glowed slightly crimson inside. A Zanpakuto materialized next to the once dead man, in a sheath. The hilt was standard Japanese style with the bottom being slightly spiky shape like his special kyune he used for the Flying Thunder God technique with the same seal formula engraved into the entire hilt design. It worked. It actually worked. I'm alive. I'm alive. Take that Shinigami Baka. Take that you stupid ineffective deity? Databane, exclaimed Kushina happily while dancing around happily now while Tsunade and Shizune's sweat dropped at the sight of the woman acting this way. Only she would act like this in a situation like this, thought Tsunade and Shizune before they moved over to Minato with the man having calmed down from his own body spasms to receive a proper medical checkup. Holy crap, I never want to do that again, stated Minato, as he was slowly helped to his feet, and let out a groan while being examined. Sensei, asked Kakashi, as he appeared on the scene. His arm was no longer in a sling, and saw his former teacher standing there adjusting to his newfound lease on life. The former Yondaime Hokage himself was processing everything that had happened in his absence to his son before turning to look at Kakashi after the man spoke his name. What do you want, Hatake? Replied Minato coldly with Kakashi flinching slightly. Why are you being so cold, Sensei? You're back? You're alive? Konoha is now going to be stronger than ever, exclaimed Kakashi with hope in his eyes despite only one being seeable. Konoha, why would I use this newfound lease on life, and the power that comes with it to help this pathetic village I once called home? Questioned Minato with Kakashi now looking at him in shock and horror. Sensei, you don't understand. The Kaiwubi killed you, killed your wife, and then was sealed in that thing you called a son. Why do you hate me? I'm the only true son you should have had? Why care about that monster when your son in all but blood is right here standing barely 10 feet from you? Questioned Kakashi before taking a step back when Minato glared harder, and the increasing yet unstable wave of spiritual pressure was covering the landscape. Son, you thought I would see you as a son, after what you've done, after what you did to my true son, after what you pulled in hurting him. Why would I throw away my son by blood for an incompetent fool like you? You're no student of mine. You're no son of mine in any shape or form. You are lower than trash, Kakashi? Obito should have been the one to live that day instead of you. He knew the value of loyalty to a comrade and to trust in his own perceptions rather than rely on someone else. You are the failure, the nobody, and deserve to die with the rest of the fools in this village. You think I want to take over for Tsunade as Hokage of Konoha? I would rather side with Iwa, and burn this place down until not even ashes remain to be blown in the wind, exclaimed Minato with Kakashi looking horrified by this news. This isn't happening. Minato is alive, but it's not him, and he's acting like I committed some horrible sin against that bastard child he calls a son. I'm his only son, not that thing beside him? Me, thought Kakashi while coming to the belief that Barragan, or possibly Naruto, did something to influence his former sensei's mind. Kakashi could only come to the conclusion that he would need to break the invisible hold Barragan had on Minato to change things for the better. To have his former sensei come back to him in open arms, and embrace him as his true son while denouncing the demonic abomination that the red-haired wench brought into the world. What did you do to the Shodaime Hokage? Demanded Hamura with Barragan just letting his smirk stay on his face while watching this drama unravel before him. Why are you so surprised? You know Kushina and Minato were in their son's body up until now, heard about how he was abused by this village, have seen his memories, seen how his true potential was sealed away, and how you all betrayed this family in your so-called pursuit of power? Why should this man and woman serve an ungrateful village like this one after all that has happened to their only child in this place? Questioned Barragan with Kaharu, Hamura, and Danzo scowling at him. That's irrelevant at the moment. Senjutsu Nade and her assistant Shizune are both under arrest for crimes against nature. They are to be detained with their test subjects being isolated for study to learn more on what they have become, commanded Danzo before he snapped his fingers and pointed at the group so his shinobi would obey him, and earned a chuckle from Barragan before it exploded into full-blown laughter. You are a fool to think that you will get your way. I've tolerated you and your ilk long enough. It's high time you finally completed the cycle of life, and enter the realm of death, where you will face judgment, stated Barragan with Danzo sneering at him, his words finally making the War Hawk's mind snap, and his patience break at the outright disrespect being given by the former Espada. Even after his talk with Hiruzen on a plan to secretly overthrow Tsunade by calling on the secret ally that was Orochimaru, who had been experimenting in cheating death, so they all as an elite few could benefit from it. While the rest of the world decayed, the Warhawk didn't like the idea of bowing further to those that dared presume they were better than himself after doing so for the last few months. Danzo had outlived countless shinobi, and was one of the oldest shinobi, albeit retired in all of the elemental countries while others had died around him. He should have been made Hokage instead of Hiruzen, but the powers that be wanted a ruler with experience, and the Shodaime Hokage was still, unfortunately for Danzo, the most experienced man around for the job. Hence why Danzo held his tongue when he lost the nomination, why he didn't usurp his rival due to the man unofficially allowing him to work from the shadows with Root, and coordinating at times with Jiraiya using this spy network to know where to strike their enemies to inflame their ranks for the master plan created to manifest itself. Hence why Danzo was allowed by the Shodaime to have the various bloodlines of the Uchiha and Senju clan surgically implanted in him by the now at the time traitor of Konoha, that was Orochimaru. The Sennin had never liked being passed over for the title of Hokage for the Yondami, and only left successfully because the Shodaime allowed it to happen. All the experiments Orochimaru was doing were making a great deal of headway in cheating death, which was what the Shodaime wanted a few years after becoming Hokage again, as he saw himself aging every day he was back in office, and wanted to cheat death to be an actual god among shinobi like the title said he was once back in his prime. Danzo had been brought into it because the man wanted to have that same kind of power, to be one of the few capable of everlasting life, molding the world into the way it was meant to be shaped under their brilliant minds. They were meant to become the new gods of the world, creating a world where the strong few ruled over the weak masses that populated the world, and the Leaf Village being at the center of it all where it would happen. But this thing had ruined everything, killing the Kyuubi, the strongest bijou that was the village's trump card against all other bijou had been devoured. The vessel it lived in had become a vessel for the demon's killer, and had disliked what had happened to the boy. This creature was taking everything he, Hiruzen, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru had been working the better part of their later years in life to see happen. Danzo's pride would no longer allow himself be under the thumb of this foul entity that dared proclaim it was superior to the human race, when humans were the true superior race. They currently had ways to extend life, soon they would even cheat death, and one day truly spit in Kami's face. Someone needed to take a stand against this abomination now, or the envisioned future would never happen. I am beyond the judgment of anyone and anything, even you. For months, this village has been forced to do what you wanted, killing civilians, the village's shinobi, punishing store owners and vendors for their harsh treatment of our Jinchuriki that you inhabit. The boy is, and always was meant to be a weapon to this village, just like all Jinchuriki have been in the past since the Shodaime Hokage himself gave the bijou to other villages to promote his need for peace. Jinchuriki aren't even human, just like you. And now the thing's own parents are no longer human, as well, meaning that they are to be studied to further advance the village as a whole, to be dissected, torn up, and used as breeding stock to pass the bloodline down to a new generation that will be the future weapons of this village. That is how it works here, and everywhere else in the world. You have no right to deny Konoha what rightfully belongs to us, exclaimed Danzo while stomping his cane on the ground during his rant, while Barragan looked at him with his face, or rather Naruto's face, showing the former Espada wasn't impressed. Human greed? We had one like that among our ranks in Las Noches, who was the one that represented how a human died in that manner. He was always among the weakest of the Espada despite his boasting of how many he devoured to become one of us. You and the former Shodaime Hokage are just as pathetic as him, replied Barragan, with Danzo looking at him with anger swelling in his visible eye. Kill him. I don't care how you do it, but kill this abomination, and the other two now. We'll dissect both their bodies afterwards and study just how they changed so it can be duplicated, commanded Danzo, as he had finally had enough, and planned to take care of things now before it went beyond handling it. From the cruel smile on Barragan's face, he should have realized that it was way past being handled, and couldn't be stopped. Tsunade, Shizune, get Naruto's parents out of here. They will need time to adjust to things as they are now. What I'm about to do could seriously hurt them and yourselves, stated Barragan with his smile growing with each passing second. Right, let's go, commanded Tsunade, as she along with Shizune left with Minato and Kushina quickly to the Hokage Tower, where the office of the Hokage would be perfect to wait things out with the shinobi there that were loyal to her now quickly leaving. Within seconds of leaving though, Kakashi did as well, and it was clear to Barragan that the foolish Jounin was determined to do something to reach the boy's parents in order to convince him he was not the piece trash Minato accused him of being. No sooner had he left, Barragan noticed more rude shinobi, and more on the council payroll that were loyal to them over. Tsunade had appeared ready for a fight while surrounding the former Espada. Is this how you intend to fight me? Sending so many of your pawns here to kill me while you watch from the sidelines? Questioned Barragan in a mocking tone to Danzo. I'm a leader through and through, just as I am a true patriot of Konoha. Through my own actions I have led Konoha to victory from the shadows. I have outlived other shinobi in the village, and even their descendants. I have watched the young grow old, and the old become weak before they die. You want to see my power? I'll make you regret this when I break you, and forever make you the servant of this village for all eternity, declared Danzo, as he revealed his Sharingan behind his bandages, and the sealed arm with the combined bloodline of the Senju and Uchiha clan. It only made Barragan look at him with disgust. What an ugly little creature you are. So many eyes. It reminds me of another Espada, but unlike him, your additional eyes are not a natural part of your body, and I am even going to make an educated guess that the arm is not natural either. It just further proves how low humans will go in the pursuit of power to achieve immortality, to escape death's reach for all eternity. Such meaningless pursuits, as the words forever and eternity, are meant to bring about false hope to all who fear death. Let me show you what death truly looks like, for it will be the last thing you ever gaze upon before meeting your end here within this very place that symbolizes what happens to bodies once they have been touched by me, replied Barragan with his cane turning into his Zanpakuto, that was his long and heavy double-headed battle axe that he was wielding with one hand. You'll never get the chance. I must live above all others to ensure Konoha stays the strongest and unopposed for all time. Makuten, Shitara no Jutsu? Exclaimed Danzo, as he used his power to entrap Barragan in the wood prison, and believed such a power that could successfully restrain the Kaiwubi could do the same for this creature regardless of its strength. Within moments, root shinobi swarmed over the prison, putting seal tags everywhere, and took several steps back while waiting for possible retaliation. When there was none, Danzo grinned, thinking the Senju clan's bloodline could restrain Barragan, and that the same form of restraint could be applied with the Sharingan eyes he possessed. This also meant he could even force the former Yondaime and his bitch of a wife to heal under his power. He wouldn't need Hiruzen anymore, as he could use his future weapons to help in overthrowing Tsunade, Force or Chimaru to heal at his feet, and basically annihilate all the shinobi villages with Konoha remaining on top. Eventually, he would easily make the Snake Sannin tell him all the secrets of how to cheat death through the study of Uzumaki child's body, and become like the Reincarnation themselves. He wouldn't even need the aid of Orochimaru in the years to come once that happened, and would be the true god of their shared vision, with true peace happening, with his beliefs usurping all others until the end time. The old man's crazy imagination stopped running away from him when a cruel laughter echoed from within the prison, and it made everyone go on edge when it got louder, with the spiritual pressure covering the entire area. It was so intense that the root shinobi, the other shinobi supporting the councils, Hamura, Kaharu, and Danzo fell to their knees in pain. The Warhawk's Sharingan eyes were now actually bleeding heavily. The man could swear he could hear screams coming from the eyes of all the Uchiha slain that night by Itachi, and those his root shinobi discovered alive when man left. You truly wish to test me, don't you, old fool? Very well. I look forward to seeing how your power fares against mine. Rot, Arrogante, said Barragan within the prison, and his spiritual energy exploded upward, destroying the ceiling of his wooden prison, and within moments the prison itself began to rot away around him. That's impossible. That jutsu was capable of trapping Jinchuriki, stopping any of the 9 Bijou for a short time. Even powerful S-class shinobi in large masses could escape that prison if they were all locked away in it. Those seal tags my shinobi placed on the prison enforced its power to contain you, exclaimed Danzo with his eyes staring right at the shadowy form within the prison via the hole made while it slowly rotted away. And what he and everyone else saw brought a new sense of fear into their hearts. They saw a skull, wearing a crown. Around the skull was that of royal robes colored in a fine purplish black cloth that covered everything up complete from head to toe, and only the skeletal hands could be seen past the sleeves. Behind Barragan, golden chains were dangling. A gold object with an eye-like symbol was along the neckline that acted to tie the clothing together, and the entity was slowly made his way through the hole that was increasing its decay the closer he got to it. Now you see me as I truly am, and was many years ago, Danzo. This was my form as the king of Hueco Mundo during my undisputed rule. In this form, everything I touch can, and will rot before death claims everything around me. That is my power, Danzo, and it is the one true undisputed rule to all things in the universe, explained Barragan with Danzo taking a step back, and went through hand signs. Makutan, Jubaku Isa, exclaimed Danzo before he summoned a massive tree to bind Barragan's form, and commanded the tree to bring the entity to the ground to crush with his power, only for the tree to rot instantly when touching Barragan's form. How annoying and pathetic you are, Danzo. I honestly expected more from you. Did you really expect to contain me with that? Using life to bind death? Ha! It would be laughable if it wasn't so pathetic in its usage. Death cannot be bound. Death cannot be controlled. It cannot be manipulated or defeated by anyone in existence. Death is an absolute certainty in all things, and it comes to all things regardless if they are alive or not. Plants die. Animals die. Insects die. Structures rot away and die. People die. The two questions regarding death should only be when and how it will happen, stated Barragan with the tree Danzo summoned turning into nothing, while the shinobi around him began to shoot jutsus and weapons at him in the hopes it would hurt him. I won't be stopped. I won't be denied my right to rule Konoha as its Hokage. I will one day become this village's ruler and one day be the most powerful man in the world that the people will worship me like a god. I will conquer you just as I have everything else in my life, exclaimed Danzo while Barragan let out a bellowing laugh, and it showed on his skull face. I don't know what is more pathetic. The dream itself, or the fact that you honestly expect to transcend death and achieve it, replied Barragan while watching the various projectiles thrown at him die before they even reached him. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. I will win against you, and when I do I will become the man known for conquering death, exclaimed Danzo while seeing the attacks from his forces failing in their entirety to stop this monstrosity. How misguided you are in your belief I can fall by your hands. Not to mention your own forces seem to realize what you do not, stated Barragan, as he pointed to Danzo's forces, and sure enough they were frightened by the fact nothing they threw at him had worked. What are you waiting for? Attack! Don't let up! Commanded Danzo with the shinobi around him along with Kaharu, and Hamura seemed hesitant to obey while Barragan's spiritual pressure continued to rise. It doesn't matter what you or your forces do against me. Compared to me, you are all ants attacking a god. And like all insects that try to fight a god you will all die. Every single one of you. Know your place? Exclaimed Barragan before he produced his Grand CAA with Makrod before he moved quickly to kill all of Danzo's followers in a series of slashes that made the bodies dissolve into nothing. In the end, only Danzo remained with his face filled with fear, and it was something that Barragan relished in seeing. Stay away from me, commanded Danzo fearfully while Barragan let out a chuckle. Oh, I have no intention of killing you with my Grand CAA with Makrada. In fact, your forces should be honored. I did since I only use it on very special occasions. You however are not even worthy of having your flesh carved into with my blade. Instead you will suffer a horrifying end from my dying breath. Respira, stated Barragan with a black smoking miasma of sorts leaving his hand now extended left hand. Danzo quickly moved away from it. But even as he moved away, the dark life-destroying substance increased in speed, and the Warhawk knew it was only a matter of time before he was caught in the substance, creating a large wall made of earth. Danzo decided if he was going to die, it would be on his terms, and use the one weapon in his arsenal that would have the power to kill Barragan. Even then, there was a chance he could cheat death with the power of the Izanagi if timed just right, and seal the monster within his body for all time with preservation seals being placed on himself to prevent Barragan from breaking free. He would seal away death's avatar for all time. His name would live forever even if he did die in the end. I will win against you. If I cannot kill you, then I will seal you away within my body for all time, and live on in spirit through the history books as the man who defeated death itself. Through my actions I will live for all eternity, exclaimed Danzo, as he began to prepare the seals on his body, and Barragan let out a chuckle. How foolish! Even if you succeeded in that endeavor in sealing me away, it would be temporary at best, and I simply age your body from within to rot before breaking out of my so-called prison. You think I haven't been trapped in a prison before today? I was in some of the most complex traps ever made that were designed to hold my kind, or something like us until we could be killed. Your plan is using a perverse bastardized version of what has already been tried, and even when I was imprisoned, they never held me long enough to defeat me. So go ahead and seal me within your body that will be your mangled corpse. I look forward to making your body rot even further from the inside, stated Barragan, as his respira was nearly upon Danzo, and saw the seals glowing on the old man's body. I will no longer be afraid of death as I once was as a child into adulthood. I will achieve victory no matter what, exclaimed Danzo while feeling Barragan's attack reach his flesh along his right leg, while the reverse 4 sealing symbols on his body were still trying to activate like a time bomb ticking down. Fool, not fearing death is like not fearing a god. Such arrogance from an ant like yourself will not be tolerated in my presence, exclaimed Barragan, as he targeted the arms of his prey, and relished the man now crying out in pain. I am Shimura Danzo? I will conquer death, exclaimed Danzo with his head starting to rot around his Sharingan eye just before the seals on his body activated and a massive explosion filled the area. When it died down, there was only a crater where his body once stood, and there was no sign of life around where Danzo had destroyed himself. Conqueror of death? Ha! Such foolish arrogance. It's amazing he lived to see old age at all in the first place, remarked Barragan still in his release state, as he was in the air, having used Sunito to quickly escape, and looking down where Danzo had been. For all his boasting, Danzo had failed miserably in his quest to defeat the former Espada, and even his last act of defiance was really a desperate man fearing what awaited him on the other side. A man who had feared death because all of his goals in life had yet to be accomplished. The man had done everything in his power to reach his goal, except do the one thing he needed, and that was simply reach out with his hands, and take it. Instead, Danzo waited in the shadows, made others do things for him, and only lift a finger when no one else could, or there were no witnesses around to tell what happened. Danzo not only feared death in Barragan's mind, but also stepping into the spotlight knowing that all eyes would be on him, and every move he made would be judged by others within their own minds. Barragan himself believed that Danzo kept to the shadows for the reason of not being judged, and those serving him had no free will to judge. In the end, Danzo died a cowardly, bitter old man, who craved power, and died using it in the stupidest way possible. Turning back into his normal form that was Naruto's body, Barragan used Sunito to enter the Hokage Tower, walking to Tsunade's office, and wasn't surprised to see the foolish Hatake Kakashi standing there trying to plead his case to his former sensei. It was clear though that Minato wouldn't hear Kakashi's words, calling him a traitor to all he stood for, how Rin and Obito would be ashamed of him. Kakashi kept on pleading for Minato to listen to reason, how Barragan had poisoned his mind into believing Naruto was still there, and worthy of being his son. Seconds later, Kakashi was sent flying out of the room, right past Barragan, and out of the Hokage Tower itself. The nerve of that baka, exclaimed Kushina, who from what Barragan saw of her stance with her right hand in a fist had been the one to punch Kakashi, and saw her hair waving around like tails like the Kyuubi. Now calm down Kushina-chan. We're still adjusting to our bodies. Don't push yourself, stated Minato with Kushina slowly calming down though she let out a huff in the process. Fine, though I'm still angry, replied Kushina before seeing Barragan and her son's body walk into the room. Our enemies have been significantly thinned, stated Barragan with the 4 in the room understanding what he meant right off the bat. Thank you for everything you have done for our son Barragan-sama. All of us here owe you a debt that none of us can possibly repay. All we can do is say thank you with our deepest respects, said Minato, as he bowed respectfully to the former Espada, and the others doing the same. Barragan merely smiled, as he had nearly forgotten what it was like to be treated with the respect and dignity someone of his position rightfully deserved. Aizen never respected him in the slightest. His offering of power beyond what the former king of Hueco Mundo had when they first met was an insult. And while it was true that Barragan became even stronger, the former Hollow King saw the insult lying behind it. When a king is serving someone else, it means he is no longer a king, but a servant, and Barragan had sworn he would have his revenge one day. While that chance for revenge was lost to him given the current situation of things, he had a feeling deep within himself, or rather Naruto's body, with that Uzumaki intuition that Aizen had failed in his plan to conquer Soul Society. That was revenge enough for Barragan. You fought with honor, facing certain death while bringing a child into the world. That takes courage, and as a being of death I respect what you did, replied Barragan with his smile fading slightly before he sat in a nearby chair. Something is on your mind, stated Kushina, as she saw him nod, and look at the top of his cane with the fox head. The merger is nearly upon me. Soon, because I used my power in my true form, I will become one with the boy ahead of schedule, and Uzumaki Naruto will awaken, stated Barragan with the group looking shocked by this. That's good news. Said Kushina, as she didn't wish to offend Barragan, and the former Hollow King and the boy just let out a small chuckle. It's alright, my dear. I'm not at all upset with your words. It's only natural that you would wish your son to awaken and be in control. As for your own powers, I will help you with what time I have left before the merger, and Naruto himself will too afterwards. As it currently stands, the two of you are now both Arankars, and are technically Naruto's fraction, replied Barragan with Minato and Kushina looking at him in surprise. Fraction? Questioned Shizune. Other Arankar that act as loyal subordinates? Several of the Espada had them, including myself under our command, answered Barragan with the group nodding. What happened to them? Asked Shizune with Barragan looking at her for a moment in silence. They died in battle, answered Barragan, but his tone told Shizune not to pry, and stay silent on the matter. How long do you have before the merger commences? Asked Tsunade with Barragan thinking for a moment. 2 more weeks. Maybe less, answered Barragan with Tsunade nodding. I see. This actually works well for Naruto? The graduation exam won't happen until the week after you merge with our son. That will give him time to test out what we taught him and attend some of the classes with the kids his age to bond with them, said Minato with Barragan nodding. Come, we are going home. I have much to teach the two of you about your different hollow powers, and how to control them while I still exist, commanded Barragan, as he got up from the chair, grabbed the two, and was gone mere moments later with them via Sanito, with the rookies training grounds 3 weeks later. You've all done well in making it this far in such little time. This was your last day of being tested here on all aspects of being a shinobi that you can't learn in a classroom, so I want all of you to be proud of yourselves and making it count. All of you worked hard to get here, announced Iruka, with most of the rookies nodding eagerly since they wanted to graduate correctly without any buts to counter it. They had gone through quite the pre-verbal ringer to earn the right to graduate, with Kirne teaching them about Jinjutsu, exposing them to various Jinjutsus, and the various ways to break them. Mato Guy came around to teach them about Taijutsu, but kept the whole flames of youth down since Tsunade didn't wanted them to be that mentally scarred before graduating, and had Guy bring Lee with him to show how strong the boy was with Taijutsu alone given his handicap. Anko had been the most cruel in terms of teaching since she had them go through survival training with emphasis on the word survival. The obstacle courses she had them go through were minor when compared to having them spend 2 weeks in the forest of death with what supplies they brought to that particular class, and the clothing they wore. Of course, Anbu were watching them to ensure no deaths were recorded, but they were well hidden so the rookies wouldn't know of their presence, and actually try their hardest to survive. Today, however, was the last day where they would receive their headbands after they completed their testing, which they did just a few hours ago, and was glad that today was such a good day outside to present them. A bit unorthodox given how graduations are done inside the academy classroom, but considering they were being used right now made that impossible. And if Iruka was honest with himself, the room he taught and brought about bad memories. The rookies in front of him smiled, a few cheering a bit at their own accomplishments in reaching their full potential while being taught within the walls of Konoha on what it meant to be a shinobi, and were now ready for it. As for Sasuke, the Uchiha remained silent, brooding all the time after being put in that cell by the Hokage. His more influential supporters on the councils had been reduced dramatically, and the civilian council had become spineless against Senju. Granted, they were always spineless, but they could rally the people within the village to his side when the time called for it, and the Shinobi Council provided them protection from the Hokage's wrath using the various loopholes within laws to get away with different things. But with Hamura, Kaharu, and Danzo now dead, their power base had been wiped out by the former Espada. That freak of nature took those of influential power away from me. They were mine to use how I see fit. They were an extension of myself, and therefore helped me get stronger in the process. Well, if he is going to rob me of something that I possess, then it's only fair that I take something that he possesses, or will possess in the near future, thought Sasuke while eyeing Ino and Hinata, knowing those two were arranged along with Inuzuka Hana to be Naruto's wife. Sasuke was fairly certain Ino could be seduced into being intimate with him, given her own fangirl-like nature, and while he loathed to be with any fangirl, at this stage in the game of his life it was all about getting revenge on her future husband. Taking from her what was meant for Naruto would be the ultimate insult and would relish the moment it happened. Hinata, however, was another matter entirely, as she always kept her distance from him, and clearly had eyes only for Naruto. Getting her on a date, much less take the girl's innocence, would be extremely difficult unless done by force. While tempting, since Uchiha always did take what they wanted, his political power base was too weak at the moment to defend him from such an accusation if the Hyuga ever spoke of it to anyone, and Sasuke knew that Hokage would castrate him slowly before he could even think of escaping Konoha. He would have to focus on Ino for now. Unfortunately, for Sasuke that is, the plan to speak to Ino now, and whisper sweet, empty words into her ear that would be sure to make the girl's legs weak, was delayed by the arrival of a certain red-haired Uzumaki boy with a cane. Flanked on either side of him were his parents, which word got around had come back from the dead through highly classified means that only the Hokage and her assistant were known to possess. As for Naruto himself, the boy had successfully merged his being with Barrigan, and was now in full control of his body. He had spent the entire time during his awakening from within his mind practicing his shinobi skills, which with the help of Shadow's clones taught to him by his mother had successfully sped up the process of getting things down quick, and get adjusted to using them. At the same time, Naruto was able to be a sensei to his parents in controlling their new abilities, and how to use them properly. First, he taught them how to use Sanito, which both found was similar to Minato's Flying Thunder God technique without the Kyune, or the flash that followed. Kushina didn't mind since she thought it was awesome, and was actually faster than her husband. Something she rubbed in his face after she proved her speed outdid his own, much to his chagrin, with a gloomy cloud hanging over his head with rain falling over his form. Bala was easy since it was a weaker yet faster version of the Sero, and the Sero itself was not that hard to do since it was similar to making a Rasengan, with Minato learning how to do it faster. Then Kushina. The poor woman's hair suffered on her first try when it blew up in her face, and she lashed out at Minato when seeing he was holding back a snicker. Minato tried to run away via Sanito, but Kushina's advantage in that field didn't save him, and soon enough he was caught by his angry wife. Naruto found it amusing since it wasn't the first time he had witnessed his mother giving his father an ass kicking for something that offended her in their son's mind. For all his greatness, it seemed the great Shodaime Hokage couldn't stop himself from putting his foot in his mouth, and getting it out before his wife helped in doing it for him painfully. It was ironically after that particular beating by Kushina to Minato that Naruto decided to teach them both about Yero, and to repel attacks with their skin being tougher than the strongest steel, that only someone with a Zanpakuto with spirit energy stronger than their own could cut through them, and how to sense another's energy using Pesquisa. Kushina advanced further with Pesquisa while Minato had a stronger Yero, though the man had wished to learn it sooner, before his wife had exploded on him with fists of fury over the testing of the Sero incident. Learning the name of their Zanpakutus would be more of a challenge, and have to be done on their own time. Still, given their own training and being shinobi, Naruto was confident his parents would learn them soon enough, and told them to only use their Resurrexia 3N outside of Konoha until further notice, just so the entirety of the village was destroyed. Even if most of Konoha deserved to be wiped out, there were still some that deserved to be shown mercy, and worthy of being protected by their family. "I'm not late, right?" asked Naruto with Iruka, and the others looking surprised to see him there with his parents. "And Naruto, you're going to be joining us for these final tests?" asked Iruka with Naruto nodding. "It seems unfair for everyone else to take the final few tests to become a genin while I stay out of it and still get a headband for doing absolutely nothing. What's the point of being a genin if I didn't earn the right?" "There is no honor in that," replied Naruto in a serious tone, with Iruka nodding in agreement. "I disagree. If you have that kind of power, then you take what is yours, and be done with it while leaving everyone else in the dust," thought Sasuke while planning on talking to Ino, and taking something of hers that would be given to Naruto. "So the Baka graces us with his presence. I can't wait to teach him a lesson on who is the best man to claim Hinata," thought Kiba while glaring slightly at Naruto, and mentally winced at the punishment his mother gave him for being so disrespectful to Barragan. After the former Espada had left that day, his mother had torn through him like an excited dog going to town on its favorite chew toy, and wasn't able to walk right for 3 days. "Well, if that is how you feel, I won't stop you from taking them, and it will be interesting to see what your parents taught you since their return to the land of the living," replied Iruka with Naruto smirking. "Okay, what's first?" questioned Naruto before Iruka told him he would need to take the Kyune and shuriken throwing practice. the taijutsu practice, and jutsu practice on targets with it not being in that order. So the question now would be, who here wants to test Naruto in the various skills his parents taught him? Asked Iruka while looking for volunteers among the other kids. I will. In all-out taijutsu, exclaimed Kiba with his claws out, teeth showing, and the desire for an all-out fight showing in his eyes. Then let's begin, replied Naruto with a slight bow and waited for the Inuzuka to start. Move your parents away, or do you need them to do your fighting for you? Taunted Kiba while Minato and Kushina narrowed their eyes at him. As if I would be so cruel and heartless, Kiba. Asking them to beat you up would be like ordering a demon to kill a child. Though considering the way you've been acting in the past few months, it's clear you still are a child. Countered Naruto with Kiba growling at him while the Uzumaki merely made a hand motion for his parents to move away. From him? You'll regret saying that, freak! Exclaimed Kiba while Naruto raised an eyebrow at him. Such animosity. Is this about the fact in a few years I'll marry your sister? Or is this about the rumors I've been hearing about how you dislike the fact Hinata likes me over you? Questioned Naruto with Hinata blushing at the fact her crush knew of her feelings for him. Unknown to Hinata, the Uzumaki boy had learned this from Barragan when they merged together, and had secretly been keeping an eye on her from above. From what he saw, the girl was making a great deal of progress, even more so when Tsunade took the girl under her wing, and learned the Hyuga girl had a skill for healing. Hinata even made medical cream, which had incredible healing properties for flesh wounds with only a little bit healing cuts, but the fact a 12-year-old made it was incredible, and Tsunade wanted to have the girl as another apprentice like Shizune. Hinata was honored and wished to get stronger not only for herself, but to prove to the Hyuga elders that she was not weak, and to prove to Naruto that she was worthy of being his wife. She may not be some offensive warrior kunoichi like Anko, or even the Anbu woman code-named Neko, but the Hyuga girl knew her talents were just as important. She may not be a sword with the power to kill, but a being a shield with the power to protect. And heal was better than nothing at all. I hate you for both reasons, you abomination. It's bad enough you're going to marry my sister in a few years, but marrying the girl I want is unforgivable since she is mine, and I won't let anyone say otherwise, answered Kiba angrily with Naruto frowning. Has Hinata-chan expressed any interest in you? Asked Naruto with Kiba growling at him. She would have in time. I would have shown her my strength, and in her awe she would have agreed to be my bitch for all time, exclaimed Kiba with Naruto shaking his head and sensed his parents were displeased with the boy thinking with his lower regions while Iruka made a mental note to talk to Tsume about her son's choice of words today. You didn't answer my question, stated Naruto with Kiba being beyond angry, and made a reckless attack in a brawler-type style with the intent to scar or maim Naruto's face so his wives would be horrified with what they had to look at every day of their lives. No. Alright, she hasn't shown interest in me like that. Only you. It's always been you. The only way I can show her how much of a mistake it is to marry you, I have to crush you in battle, and claim my rightful place as alpha of this entire group around us. Once that happens, Hinata will how wrong it is to marry a freak like you, and wish to nullify the arrangement with my sisters soon following, exclaimed Kiba with Naruto sighing while he dodged all the strikes aimed at him. How annoying, replied Naruto while simply getting in close, grabbing Kiba's face, and simply tossed him back on his ass. Stand still and take your hits like a man, exclaimed Kiba angrily, as he charged again, using his brawler fighting style, and yet every time he came close to hitting Naruto, the boy just dodged at the last moment. Why? Because you are an alpha of the class, questioned Naruto in a mocking tone of his own. Yes, an alpha always wins no matter what. I'm an alpha. Now know your place and take your hits like the bitch we all know you are compared to me, exclaimed Kiba, as his mind was now becoming more primal with each miss, and his instincts going wild inside of himself. Foolish Inozuka, how Hana-chan could possibly be related to you I'll never know, replied Naruto, as he simply backhanded Kiba in the face that sent him straight into a tree, and knocking the Inozuka out. Okay, Sakura, can you take Kiba to the hospital? The next test for you Naruto will be ninjutsu, so please use one of your jutsus that you know, said Iruka with Naruto nodding before he formed a few hand signs. Fire style. Hellfire jutsu? Naruto called out before shooting a stream of intense that burned at some training dummies that were incinerated instantly. How dare you? That's one of my clan's signature fire jutsus. You had no right to use it, exclaimed Sasuke with Naruto looking at him with a deadpan look on his face. Not all fire jutsus are the property of the Uchiha clan. If you must know, the fire jutsu I used was given to the Uchiha clan by the Uzumaki clan after your family made peace with the Senju clan. If anything, I am merely using a fire jutsus that is the property of the Uzumaki clan, and you should keep your mouth shut over matters you know nothing about, explained Naruto with Sasuke seething in rage at being told this fact. No doubt the Uchiha thought he was being told a slanderous lie, and wouldn't believe a word told to him. Regardless, you performed a very impressive their jutsu, so you get full marks on that, Naruto. Now comes the Kyune and Shuriken test, stated Iruka before Naruto took out some Kyune and Shuriken before throwing them perfectly at various points on the body. Ha, that's a fail. He didn't hit the center target, exclaimed Sasuke while grinning at the sight of the loser's weapons not hitting dead center. Look again, you baka. Our son hit lethal parts of the target dummy, that part of the human body. If that was an actual person, they would have died instantly, and that's what counts when hitting your target, stated Kushina with Iruka nodding since she did have a point. Kushina-san is correct. Not only that, but Naruto hit the center targets multiple times too with both types of weapons, and he's earned bonus points for it, stated Iruka with Sasuke looking livid at seeing Naruto come out on top. I say it's rigged. He's using his unnatural powers and you're allowing him to get away with it because his parents happen to be famous, challenged Sasuke with Naruto letting out a tired sigh. Cheating? You think I need to cheat to do this? Questioned Naruto with Sasuke glaring at him like he was all-seeing, and somehow saw through the supposed cheat used to have the high score. How else could you have done it? Countered Sasuke before stepping up to the Uzumaki boy. The old-fashioned way? Through hard work and training, replied Naruto with Sasuke just scoffing at him. I doubt that, stated Sasuke with Naruto sighing again before walking away from the Uchiha. I honestly don't care for your opinion, Sasuke, nor for the lies and empty accusations you have spewing from your mouth. Anyone here has the ability to see or sense if I was cheating, yet not a single potential graduate here has stepped forward to support your claim, said Naruto while Sasuke growled angrily at him. That's because they all too afraid, too lazy, or too in love with you to say anything. But I see the truth because the Uchiha clan has the blood of elites in their veins, and only an Uchiha can see what the other fools here cannot see, replied Sasuke with Naruto having this bored look on his face. Then how did I cheat, Sasuke? What powers and abilities have I used to cheat with when I took the tests? Challenged Naruto with Sasuke remaining silent for a moment while he grit his teeth. I don't know, answered Sasuke at last. You don't know? You've accused a fellow student of cheating, yet you don't know how, or have any proof of it outside of you having blood of elites in your veins to enforce it. That's just pathetic, replied Naruto. Sasuke taking out a Kyune and charging toward the red-haired Uzumaki. Don't you turn your back on me, freak. I'm an Uchiha? That means I own this village. I own its people. And it means I own you, exclaimed Sasuke, who now sounded like an irrational person, and it was clear to the adults watching that the boy had been denied the much-needed psychiatric help after Itachi had messed with the boy's mind years ago. Sasuke never reached Naruto, however, as Hinata moved quickly to intercept the boy with her Byakugan active while Shikamaru used his clan's Shadow Possession Jutsu to trap the Uchiha, and only disconnected moments before the Hyuga girl struck the Uchiha in the stomach. The impact of the blow made Sasuke fall to the ground. The weapon he brought out had fallen from his hands, and was kicked away from him. Glaring up at the girl, Sasuke vowed to make her and the Nara boy pay for this outrage while trying to stand before a foot on his back by a pissed-off Kushina found its place in keeping the Uchiha flat on his stomach. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't break you right now, questioned Kushina with a growl, and glared at the boy. I'm an Uchiha, the last one loyal to Konoha. You kill me, the village will turn against you and your bastard child, answered Sasuke before crying out in pain when pressure from Kushina's foot was applied to his spine. I don't give a damn about Konoha's overall populace, especially those that would still favor you and wish to kiss your ass all day in hopes their daughters would marry into your bastard clan, replied Kushina with Iruka deciding to step in before things became worse. Unfortunately, Kushina-san, I have to pass him despite his actions, stated Iruka while Kushina glared at him with Minato doing the same. After what he pulled, the brat should be locked away with his bloodline and chakra sealed off until his death, countered Kushina with Iruka raising his hands up. It's my call. Tsunade gave me a message that came from the Fire Daimyo himself just yesterday. The feudal lord of Fire Country wants the Sharingan to come back, and wants the boy to be a genin, so he can get strong enough to activate them, replied Iruka, with Kushina and Minato looking displeased by this news, while Sasuke smirked at his victory over them. Then I request he be made dead last of the current graduating class here as punishment for his actions as of late, stated Naruto with Iruka looking at Minato, Kushina, and then the boy himself before nodding. Done, answered Iruka with Sasuke's smirk of victory gone, and his face livid with rage. You can't do this to me. I'm an Uchiha, the elite, the rookie of the year, exclaimed Sasuke while trying to get up, but Kushina wouldn't let him, and kept her foot on his back to keep the boy down. No, it's more than fair, Sasuke. You have attacked multiple people at the smallest hint of provocation, and spoke in a way that is unbecoming of a Konoha shinobi. Your ranking in this class is at the bottom, because it more than warrants the act, and it's only because of the fire daimyo that I don't fail you outright, explained Iruka, with Sasuke growling angrily at him. This is the guy I fawned over? What was I thinking? Thought Ino, as she saw Sasuke acting so irrationally, and like a spoiled brat, with his actions causing a revelation to hit the girl hard in the head. Growling heavily, the Uchiha had no choice in this matter, but to accept this for now, and silently vowed to make everyone around him pay for this insolence. He would get them all back soon enough, and his target was the platinum blonde girl that once wanted to go on a date with him. Fine, but I only accept it under protest, replied Sasuke, with Iruka sighing, and Kushina smirked behind the lower half of her hollow mask. Very well, Naruto, you graduated with high marks. However, because you came to this class just today, I can't give you the title of Rookie of the Year, but given how impressive you were just now, I'm still going to rate you around the top of the class. Congratulations on passing the tests, stated Iruka, as he handed Naruto a headband, and the boy took it with pride. Thank you, Iruka-sensei. I'll try to make you, my parents, and my godmother proud, stated Naruto before tying it around his forehead. He still resents the village as a whole. The fact he mentioned so few means his heart is not so forgiving. Iruka thought sadly, knowing it would be a long time if ever before the boy accepted Konoha with open arms. Congratulations, son, said Minato with a grin on his face. Thanks, Dad, replied Naruto while walking over to the other rookies, and began talking to them. His heart still suffers, whispered Kushina, with Minato nodding while they watched their son interact with the children. Yeah, but he's making progress. The others don't hate him with the exception of the pink-haired girl, the Inuzuka, and the Uchiha brat. There is light at the end of the tunnel, Kushina. It's far away, and it's a long road to reach, but it is there, replied Minato in the same whispered tone while Naruto let out a small chuckle over something Chaji said involving Shikamaru being chased once by his mom, over an incident that earned her wrath, and how learning Sanito would be a good way to escape it in the future. Sadly for Shikamaru, the Uzumaki boy had told him that Sanito was a family thing, and only family could learn it. As for Ino, she apologized to him in front of the others about how cruel she had been to him when growing up, and that they could get to know each other with a clean slate. Naruto accepted, since it would only be fair, since they would be a married couple in a few years, and didn't want them to be together if all they brought to the table was anger mixed with resentment. Chaji then decided they should all go to the Akimichi barbecue restaurant to celebrate their graduation together to further solidify their unity as comrades. Naruto agreed, and so did the others. Well, almost everyone. Sasuke left with snort, mentioning it was a waste of time, and went to brood while massage his bruised ego along with the other parts of his body hurt today. Should we join them? Asked Kushina, seeing Minato nod. Of course, in fact, you go with them while I go round up the parents, since they won't know about the news yet, and they can join their kids in celebrating, answered Minato with Kushina giggling. And no doubt leave Shikaku with the bill again like we did after celebrating our own graduation, questioned Kushina, with Minato letting out a chuckle. It was his own fault for being too damn lazy to stop us during the celebrating, replied Minato, with Kushina laughing a little. That it was. His mother thought the same way too when the bill was brought home. I almost felt sorry for him, said Kushina, with Minato raising an eyebrow at her. Why almost? Questioned Minato, with Kushina smirking. He made a remark earlier that week about how my temper would possibly make me the most troublesome woman in all of Konoha in the future, answered Kushina in a slightly sweet tone that told Minato it was a tone that could make even the most fearman shake with dread. Really, can't imagine why he would say that, replied Minato with a nervous laugh before he left via Sanito, with Kushina letting out another chuckle. Oh, I think you do know, Minato-kun, and you're going to find out how troublesome I can be tonight behind closed bedroom doors tonight, said Kushina to herself, with a semi-evil smile on her face, and the devious plan she had to trap her husband already created. Her husband was going to need the Iero ability tonight when she got through with him. Naruto sat with the others around him, his parents, the other rookies, and the parents of the rookies were all celebrating the success of the graduation of the next generation of shinobi. Kiba would have been there, but his injuries by Naruto during their spar had messed him up pretty badly, and was kept in the hospital for a few days of observation. Tsume sighed when she heard the news, and part of her wanted to see the dumbass of a son she brought into the world, so he could learn not to act so stupid like her dumbass of a husband who has the same mindset. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact the man hadn't fled in fear of her wrath, Tsume would have killed him already, and had long since prayed to Kami that her boy didn't inherit that mindset. Sadly, it seemed Kami had other things to do than hear her words. Tsume also realized that as much as she would like to see her son, it just wasn't in her to do it, and decided against it entirely. It seemed harsh, and no doubt Kiba would brashly demand his question be answered on why she didn't come to see him, why she didn't come down hard on Naruto, and tried to teach him a lesson on why no one messed with the Inuzuka clan. If anything, Tsume was being far too merciful to her own son to let him recover from his injuries, so he could take many more, when she got a hold of the baka, and drilled manners back into his head, even if they left it at a far faster than he received them. Talk about in one ear and out the other, thought Tsume, as she was thinking about her son not being there for the celebration, and no doubt would throw a fit over that too. Tsume-chan, is something wrong? You seem off right now. Is it because of your son? Asked Kushina while Tsume nodded since there was no point in denying it. I don't know how to handle him, Kushina. On one end, I want to smash his face in, and the other compels me to be merciful because he is my son. I don't want him to cause any problems between your son, and cause some kind of feud between our families. With my daughter marrying your son in a few years, the last thing we both want is for my son to do something stupid, and ruin things for us, answered Tsume while keeping the talk to a whispered tone so others wouldn't hear it. I understand, Tsume-chan. Just handle him as best you can, but make him realize that if he gets out of line with my son, or anyone close to him, there will be no mercy on either end from both our families, replied Kushina with some sympathy to the woman, but also had Tsume realize that the Inuzuka brat was not going to receive mercy, and any hostile move would be his last. I'll try, Kushina, but my son is a hard-headed baka, replied Tsume with a sigh. It will work out, Tsume. One way or another, stated Kushina with Tsume nodding. I hope so, Kushina. My boy is becoming a real problem, said Tsume, as she decided to put her baka for a son out of her mind for now, and focus on the party at hand. Do you know what the team selection are going to be like? Asked Minato to Shikaku, since the man could pretty much predict who was getting paired with who in terms of teams in the past. The next generation of Ino Shikacho has been approved by the Hokage, and with all the extra training they've gotten, the team will be able to keep the enemy guessing. As for the other teams, it could various ways at this point, but given the hostilities between Kiba and your son, I'm willing to wager the two of them will not be on the same team. The same could be said about Sasuke too, so either Hinata, Shino, or Sakura will have to fill the two spots, with the last one being with Kiba and Sasuke. I would imagine Shino will be paired with Naruto, since the Aburame clan has been neutral yet fair to your son in the past, since they know what it is like to be discriminated against on account of what people think of them due to their bloodline, meaning neither Sakura or Hinata will fill in the last spot, with the losing Kunoichi being with Kiba and Sasuke, stated Shikaku, with Minato sighing, since that did present a problem given how Kiba could be paired with Hinata due to the risk of him doing something inappropriate with her. There was also something about Uchiha Sasuke that made the former Shodaime Hokage watchful of the boy when it came to Hinata, but it's not like he could pair the girl up with her future husband, right? I think Hinata should stay on more as Tsunade's apprentice, and only join a genin team when required, while Sasuke and Kiba do the same in providing assistance to the other shinobi teams we have, like Madogai's team. The man has a good head on his shoulders, and has quite the experienced team under his command. I think Sasuke and Kiba could learn something from them, countered Minato with Shikaku nodding, since that would help diffuse the situation surrounding the tension with Sasuke and Kiba. Meanwhile, Sakura is paired with Naruto, and Shino with their Jounin sensei, making sure the fangirl in her doesn't come out, added Shikaku with Minato nodding with a smile on his face. Exactly. Hinata and the other three genin will get their chance to get the needed outside experience when the time is right, with other teams we can trust will work well with them. Hinata can work with any of the rookies with the exception of Sasuke, and Kiba with Sakura being neutral for the most part, though I would keep a close eye on her just in the off chance she tries something to get Sasuke's favor, explained Minato with Shikaku nodding. I'll relay your interest in this matter to Tsunade. She'll most likely agree given how your ideas for team selection are solid, explained Shikaku before he left to report this to the Hokage. While this was going on, Naruto was having a good time with the other kids his age, and even with Hana, since she wished to join the festivities in order to strengthen the bond she was going to have with her future husband. Hana had spotted a blushing Hinata moving slightly closer to Naruto when the Inuzuka woman sat down near them. It was a subtle hint to Hana that Hinata wasn't going to give any ground to her, and it showed that the Hyuga girl had some backbone. Naruto easily noticed this, but decided to be quiet on the matter, since the competition between the two was healthy, and there was no malice in their movements. They were merely staking their claim on him, and showing the other that they would not surrender their position in terms of being his wife. Ino herself was quiet on the matter, as she clearly felt neither the right, nor had the might to defend or advance in making claim to him when it came to their arranged marriage. Ino had been mean to him during his early childhood, not through her parents, mind you, simply by picking up on it from other children, and no doubt their parents bribing her with treats if she did what was asked of her. Ino had apologized for her behavior, and she did mean it, but the guilt of the acts themselves in following what was now considered the bad crowd was still there. Naruto had no doubt the girl would earn the right to hold the position as his wife, but it would require nudging on his part, and those around Ino herself. Not to mention Naruto had sensed a sinister plot aimed at Ino, as he saw the looks the Uchiha had given the platinum blonde girl moments before his arrival, and later after the graduation had ended. If Ino was going to be around the Uchiha for any short or long period of time, Naruto was going to make certain someone he could trust was watching to protect Ino from Sasuke's inevitable actions against the girl should she ever be in a weakened state or caught off guard in a moment where she wasn't expecting it. But that could wait a little longer. Now he was enjoying himself with the others, and was not about to have someone like the Uchiha, even if he wasn't here, ruin it for him. Hokage Tower? Minato suggested this, asked Tsunade, as she heard Shikaku explain to her the reasons behind the Genin team selecting process, and had to admit, the man had a solid plan in terms of picking teams. Not to mention the Uchiha brat would be upset when hearing he was being benched until further notice while being stuck in the village to train. Yes, while we were all eating, Kiba and Sasuke were both being a pain in the ass earlier, so he doesn't trust them with his son. I also suspect something might happen to Hinata if she is put on a team with them. Sakura will be put on Naruto's team since she's not as weak as she was from the start, but the girl will no doubt make it a serious issue when she learns the Uchiha is in the reserved list, and make some kind of protest over the matter, answered Shikaku with Tsunade scoffing. I don't give a damn if the girl goes on a hunger strike. She'll be on the team I've set for her and like it regardless, exclaimed Tsunade with Shikaku nodding in agreement. What about Minato and Kushina? They are part of Naruto's fraction, and I wondered what would happen if Naruto went on a long-distance if not long-term mission outside of Fire Country, questioned Shikaku, with Tsunade sighing for a moment. Minato and Kushina explained this to me some time ago after things settled down with Danzo's little rebellion being a complete flop. Fractions are servants to their masters, and in this case the master is Naruto with the servants being his parents. The purpose of the fraction is to serve the master in any way that the master sees fit, and in our case with Naruto's own parents, they will be fiercely loyal to him. Even if he wasn't their son, I have no doubt that they would give their lives for him if given the command, and would obey the boy without question, explained Tsunade with Shikaku nodding. Hypothetically, if someone were to kill Naruto, what would happen to them? Asked Shikaku with Tsunade's eyes narrowing dangerously at her. Tread carefully here, Nara-san, said Tsunade with sharp eyes ready to explode with anger at the genius in front of her should he say something stupid the next few seconds. I'm not suggesting anything in terms of foul play on our part, Hokage-sama. I'm just wondering what would happen to his parents in the event the boy died, explained Shikaku quickly with Tsunade calming down slightly. Minato and Kushina would survive, I imagine. They do have free will, of course, so it's not like they would just drop dead like puppets with their strings cut. Though I imagine the loss of their only son would cause them to lash out and possibly bring about the end of the world just to spite everyone alive, answered Tsunade with Shikaku starting to sweat. Well, let us hope that the boy doesn't die anytime soon, stated Shikaku with Tsunade nodding. Yes, let's hope, replied Tsunade simply. What about each team's chosen Jounin sensei? Asked Shikaku curiously. Sarutobi Asuma will be in charge of the next generation of Ino Shikacho, but given his own connection to his father, I will have him secretly watch to make sure he's not like my former sensei, and try to sabotage them. Hatake Kakashi was going to be the Jounin for Genin Team 7, but I've decided against it, and will assign someone else more suited for the job. Yuhi Kyurne was going to handle Genin Team 8, but given how Hinata is now my apprentice, things have changed, and the ideal tracking team she wanted will be shot to hell, answered Tsunade with Shikaku frowning. Kyurne pushed for Hinata to be on Genin Team 8, asked Shikaku curiously. She was assigned to watch over Hinata while Hayashi was busy handling clan duties, and couldn't walk with her to the academy. The girl's cousin Niji, who is part of the Hyuga branch family, loathes the girl, and Hayashi doesn't fully trust the boy enough since Hinata simply refuses to use the cage bird seal. Hence where Kyurne steps in, and has acted like a true bodyguard to the girl, answered Tsunade with Shikaku frowning further. The rumors about the woman state she acted like a surrogate mother to the Hyuga girl during that time. To be honest, I disagree with Kyurne being Hinata's Jounin sensei if the girl was on Genin Team 8, replied Shikaku with Tsunade's eyebrow rising. I heard the rumors too, and the woman has confessed she felt that way. But why do you disagree with Kyurne being a sensei to Hinata? Asked Tsunade curiously with Shikaku sighing. Troublesome. No offense to Yuhi Kyurne in any aspect of being a shinobi, or a woman in general, Hokage-sama, but she would hurt Hinata's growth rather than help it, replied Shikaku, with Tsunade frowning. How so? Asked Tsunade with Shikaku sighing again. She'll act more like a loving mother to the Hyuga girl, rather than a Jounin sensei. she'll smother her student with too much love, and not give the girl the full confidence needed to go beyond limitations. Don't get me wrong, I think Kurone-san could, and would be a great sensei if it was anyone else. Unfortunately, Hyuga Hinata brings all the motherly instincts out in the woman, and to be honest Hokage-sama, such instincts have no place in the shinobi world when such a woman is using them in training one of her students. A genin team, answered Shikaku with Tsunade nodding, since Kurone seemed to have a shaky past when it came to training students individually. Hence why Tsunade thought training 3 of them would be a good experience needed to one day qualify for one-on-one apprenticeship. Now that hope seemed lost to the woman. She won't be happy about this. Kurone had high hopes in having Hinata on her team, and I had hoped it would be a good experience for her professionally, replied Tsunade with Shikaku nodding, since he knew of the woman's sketchy past with the Kurama clan. She will understand Hokage-sama? If she truly cares about Hinata as an actual person and wishes to see the Hyuga girl's potential be reached, she will accept your decision, replied Shikaku with Tsunade nodding. I'm confident she will accept it, said Tsunade with Shikaku sighing. To be blunt, I don't share your confidence in this matter, Hokage-sama. Inoichi did a full psyche profile of each potential Jounin sensei for this year's batch of graduates. I suggest you read Kurene's file before you explain your actions to her in order to reinforce your decision for team selection, replied Shikaku before he produced the file and handed it to the woman before leaving, while Tsunade went handle some last-minute work, only to be rudely interrupted by a slightly limping Jiraiya and one Saratobi Hiruzen, who was now walking around on a crutch since his leg was still broken. We need to talk, Tsunade, said Jiraiya with his face full of seriousness. I'm not in the mood to talk to you, pervert. Come back another time. I want to go spend a few hours with my godson while he celebrates his graduation with the other rookies, said Tsunade, as she rose from her seat and saw Jiraiya was blocking her way. This is about Naruto, explained Jiraiya with Tsunade's eyes narrowing. Make it quick, and this better not be a suggestion to have his abilities sealed away, or that he's some kind of threat to Konoha. If you do, those words will be your last, threatened Tsunade while she saw her former teammate and sensei looking a bit tense. It's not about that, Tsunade. I just wanted to warn you about the Akatsuki, replied Jiraiya with Tsunade's eyebrow rising slightly. The Akatsuki? Questioned Tsunade with Jiraiya nodding, and she saw him take a look back at Hiruzen, who nodded before deciding to continue. Yes, a group of S-class missing nin banding together to collect the bijou from each of the Jinchuriki who possess them. Orochimaru himself was one of their members before he left the organization a few years ago after an altercation with Uchiha Itachi occurred sometime after the boy became a member, explained Jiraiya with Tsunade listening a little more intently, though she was clearly skeptical. Really? Well, I'm sure the Akatsuki will be disappointed to hear Naruto is no longer a Jinchuriki of Kyuubi, since Kyuubi is dead, so they will have no reason to pursue him, replied Tsunade with Jiraiya shaking his head. If anything, they will come after him to be spiteful, Tsunade. Either that, or they might try to take the power he has now extracted for their own purposes. As far as this organization is concerned, Naruto is a marked shinobi, and is in danger now more than ever from what my spy told me, explained Jiraiya with Tsunade's eyes narrowing at him. Oh really? Tell me, Jiraiya, given all that happened to Naruto in the past, if the boy had not done what he did, and lived the life you along with sensei dictated, were you ever going to warn Naruto about this threat to his being? Perhaps you planned to prepare him to fight these shinobi, and if so, when? Questioned Tsunade with Jiraiya sucking in his teeth at her question. The time wasn't right. We felt that the boy needed to bond with his teammates, learn from his Jounin sensei while on his genin team, and eventually learn to control Kyuubi's chakra, answered Hiruzen with Tsunade scoffed at his explanation. If that were true, you would have made sure his education wasn't sabotaged from the start. You wanted him weak enough that he couldn't oppose either of you, and yet strong enough to handle the Akatsuki for a time while giving him little to no time to be trained to combat them. You were gambling with his life. My godson's life, exclaimed Tsunade with Jiraiya and Hiruzen frowning at her. He's my godson too, Tsunade challenged Jiraiya with Tsunade slamming her fist on the desk and making the room shake. Don't you dare say that to me. You abandoned him within days of his birth. And for what? A stupid, unclear, and uncertain prophecy based on a hunch without any proof that Naruto was in fact that child. Yet you treated him like a monster all the same, like he was a demon. A person infected with a plague could say they were treated better. And now you dump this news on me so you can have some key influence in Naruto's shinobi training. Do you really think I'm that gullible? I know why you want to involve yourself in his life now, and not for all the right reasons. You want him restrained, controlled. You just want to know what kind of skills he possesses, so counter his skills, or maybe a jutsu can possibly be developed against them. Also, when the time is right, you will try to seal his power away. Or maybe just enough to weaken him so the boy dies by your hands like you wanted from the start in a slow, painful, and unforeseeable manner, stated Tsunade with Jiraiya frowning at her with their shared sensei doing the same. The Akatsuki know about him Tsunade. They will come after Naruto with everything they've got. Only I can properly prepare him for them. There isn't a shinobi alive that can teach the boy how to go up against all of them like I can, and you know it. Challenged Jiraiya with Tsunade smirking now. You haven't been keeping your ear to the floor when it comes to Konoha. It seems your age is catching up with you. Both of you actually, stated Tsunade while seeing the two of them frown at her. What do you mean? Questioned Jiraiya while Tsunade's smirk grew. Your old student and his wife are alive again thanks to Barragan. Didn't you know that? Surely some of the leaf shinobi, or civilians in Konoha are still loyal to you to the point of coming into your hospital rooms panting from running so fast to tell you the wonderful news, answered Tsunade mockingly with Jiraiya and Hiruzen looking at each other in complete shock. How did this happen? Demanded Jiraiya with Tsunade shrugging. The only one who can really answer that is Barragan-sama, but he merged with Naruto a short time ago, which means you would have to ask the boy himself, and we both know he'd never tell you the truth much. Let's give an answer you would like hearing? Besides, it can't be duplicated, and no, we won't be trying anytime soon, answered Tsunade with the two men frowning at this news. So Minato and Kushina will be training him, concluded Hiruzen while not liking this news one bit. Correction, old monkey? They already have been training him. Naruto-kun is showing his potential is in fact limitless. They will bring it out fully while the two of you watch from the sidelines, and do absolutely nothing, replied Tsunade with both men now looking to protest this decision. This isn't fair. What about the Toad contract? He needs to sign it, demanded Jiraiya with Tsunade shrugging again. Take it up with Naruto if you dare, but make no mistake Jiraiya, the boy will most likely kill you, and sensei here on sight, and even if he doesn't kill you, his parents certainly will before you can get within a mile of him, answered Tsunade with Jiraiya gritting his teeth, and Hiruzen scowling further. Minato will understand. He always did and will listen to his sensei, something you have failed to do with ours from the start. Jiraiya nearly shouted at her, and then left with their sensei right behind him. Bastards. Oh well. Let them have their hissy fit moment. It's only going to get worse for them when Minato and Kushina see them with the desire to kick their asses, thought Tsunade before she left her office to go see her godson, and properly congratulating him on becoming shinobi. Namikaze Estate sometime later? What do you want, sensei? Demanded Minato, as he saw Jiraiya appear in the front of his home, uninvited with the former Shodaime Hokage. And neither shinobi could believe it. Minato. How is this even possible? Asked Jiraiya while Hiruzen was not so enthusiastic. You would be surprised what my son and his allies can do when given the chance. Not that you would know anything about giving my son a chance, sensei, answered Minato, as he saw Jiraiya look away, and Hiruzen kept on scowling back at him. We needed your son to be controlled, Minato, in case he was the child of prophecy. The prophecy itself threatens Konoha? It threatens your home, the shinobi way, a way we have lived for years, explained Jiraiya after a moment of silence between them. So my son should suffer. Is it simply because of the prophecy that you did this? Or did you do it because of the Kyuubi? Because of the bijou he once held? Out of some stupid need to get revenge for me over the fact I died saving this miserable village that refused to honor my dying wish, something I know was made known to the people, but knowing your baka for a sensei, he deliberately spun things in a way that would make the people not honor it, and do the exact opposite, exclaimed Minato with Jiraiya looking away since it was exactly how it happened. How was I supposed to react? You were dead, Kushina was dead, and the Kyuubi had just been sealed up in your son. All signs of the boy being the child of prophecy were showing, the village in danger, and I reacted in the best interest of Konoha. You may have been my student, but I stressed the importance of putting the village first, and your family second. That if you had to choose, it was a choice that was for the greater good, and not that of your family, answered Jiraiya with Minato scowling. Yes, you did teach me that, Jiraiya, but I never embraced that part of your teachings to me. What point is there to serving the greater good if your own children suffer for it? In the end, they would hate you, despise you, and resent you for it. The greater good is not worth the sacrifice of your own family. You would agree if you actually had one instead of peeping all the time on women, countered Minato with Jiraiya wincing slightly at the jab. You are the closest thing to family I have, Minato, replied Jiraiya with Minato sneering at him. You lost the right to be a surrogate father to me the moment you betrayed my family for your so-called greater good. I don't even acknowledge you as my sensei either. As far as I'm concerned, Jiraiya, that man I knew is dead and you are just a fraud, stated Minato with Jiraiya looking like he had just been hit hard in the gut by one of Tsunade's super punches. You don't mean that, exclaimed Jiraiya, but Minato's face told him that his former student did indeed mean it. and was moments away from attacking. Get off my property, Jiraiya, and take that crippled, old fool with you. Kushina is out with Naruto, but her sensory skills are greater than mine, and she won't be so merciful if your signature is detected by her, commanded Minato, as Kushina along with Naruto were still out, talking with Naruto's favorite people over at the ramen stand, and were no doubt enjoying a couple dozen bowls of the stuff too. Minato secretly dreaded the ramen bill that would come his way. I'm not going anywhere. Not until you agree to let me train your son, stated Jiraiya with Minato scowling at him. Why? He doesn't need any form of teaching you could provide him. Besides, I doubt you would even try to actually teach him anything, and just go about how to best seal away his abilities before trying to manipulate him. I think you would even go so far as to try and manipulate his parents if successful, accused Minato with Jiraiya's eyes flashing with anger. I will fight you, Minato, threatened Jiraiya with Minato scoffing. You can try, Jiraiya, but I long since surpassed you years ago, and with my new abilities I could kick your ass along with your sensei's life at their peak without breaking a sweat, stated Minato with Jiraiya wincing since he wasn't physically 100%. This isn't over, Minato, stated Jiraiya, since he would need to come up with another plan to deal with his former student and his son. Minato watched them go, sighing after they did, and wished his wife was here to unleash that infamous Uzumaki temper on these two idiots. Hokage Tower sometime later? What do you mean I'm not getting the tracking team I wanted? Demanded Kirne, as she was shocked when the Hokage had denied her the means to not only have the best upcoming tracking team in Konoha, but keep Hinata in reserve to further teach the girl more advanced medical skills. Take her on as an apprentice. Asuma was given the next generation of Ino Shikacho, and he was the son of a heartless Sandaime Hokage, so why couldn't she get what her heart desired? It's as I explained before, Kirne-san, Hinata shows great promise in the medical arts, and I am going to take her on as my apprentice. She will be on reserve for a little while longer until I deem her fit for active duty outside of Konoha's walls, explained Tsunade with Kirne scowling, and the female Hokage mentally sighed since the report Shikaku left for her. To read about Kirne was not encouraging. Yuhi Kirne's lack of confidence in teaching solo after the incident with the Kurama clan has left long-lasting mental scars and a blow to her confidence. She will handle her team gently, which in some cases should be done, but not with a tracking team, or with Hyuga Hinata due to the bond the woman wishes to have with her. Kirne's motherly instincts have awakened in the Hyuga girl on account of the events no doubt seen in the Hyuga compound when dealing with the Hyuga clan head talking poorly about his eldest child. While such compassion is good in the short term of things to help Hyuga Hinata, it cannot be used in training a genin team, and thus will only weaken the team overall. Kirne will hesitate in training her students properly, afraid she'll hurt or push them too far. She will feel they are fragile, like glass, and should be handled with care out of fear of them breaking under pressure. At the same time, I've noticed Kirne's constant aggressive behavior when around male shinobi, who have a tendency to express their male pride to impress others, and some have even tried woo her in a few cases. While this female pride is in fact a way to motive Kirne to push her genin team, it can in fact be a weakness, as she might feel compelled to send them on a mission they might not be ready for, and all out of pride in wanting to put her male comrades in their place. With the upcoming Chunin exams happening in a few months, I would expect the various Jounin senseis assigned will try to nominate their students regardless if they are ready for them, and Kirne will be no different since she would be one of the few kunoichi to take on a genin team. It is my personal recommendation that while Kirne is qualified to be a Jounin sensei, with what experience she has in being a Jounin of Konoha, it would be best if she did not have the tracking team desired by herself, and that the woman be given an alternate team so more effort on her part is applied. If Yuhi Kirne is kept in her own comfort zone with the students she wants with the tracking team she wants, the team itself will not grow with each individual genin not reaching their full potential, and that could lead to future problems if not addressed now. But it's the best tracking team you could ever hope for, and I'm the best Jounin around to train them to further enhance that team dynamic. How many battles has Konoha won from tracking teams scouting ahead and learning of enemy advances? They can find the best places to set up camp in strategic terrain where our forces could defend themselves, or even go on the attack when required. I can do that with them, exclaimed Kirne with the woman in front of her not liking how the Jounin was nearly in her leader's face. I seem to recall several over-specialized tracking teams Konoha had getting decimated in a fight or when caught. They were all speed and sight with no combat strength to their names. How many shinobi did we lose? Most were killed, others were captured, tortured for information, and some of them broke, because they had no resistance to it. You are asking for an over-specialized team, Kirne-san. I've seen enough of them during the last shinobi war to know they aren't worth the loss of such promising shinobi, and let's not forget these genin you're requesting are all clan heirs. If they were ever in trouble, caught by enemy shinobi, they would be dragged back to enemy villages, and used to reproduce their clan bloodline there, in order to use such offspring to press for clan jutsus Hirviad, political arena while making up any excuse they want on how they got such bloodlines on their side, countered Tsunade with Kurne scowling. Then I request you at least give me Hinata to train personally in my art. I can help her in my field of Jinjutsu just as much as you can in your field in being a medic nin Hokage-sama, offered Kurne with Tsunade shaking her head. Denied. Inuzuka Kiba and Uchiha Sasuke are also benched given how their past actions leave much to be desired. I'm having those two being trained together with Mado Gai students. Instead, you can have the honor of training Hiruno Sakura, Aburame Shino, and Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. Something I know Kakashi here is unhappy about since he wanted the team very badly, though I'm denying it for the obvious reasons we all know exist. Besides, I need him on standby to teach the Uchiha if, and when the brat awakens those damn Sharingan eyes, said Tsunade with Kurne gritting her teeth. I respectfully decline Hokage-sama. I refuse to be Jounin sensei for that team. Hatake Kakashi can have them for all I care, replied Kurne with Asuma looking shocked by this, and Tsunade herself raising a single eyebrow. Just like that? You refuse to be the Jounin sensei of two clan heirs with one being my godson. The girl is an Uchiha fan girl, but I thought you of all Kunoichi would enjoy beating that part out of her so she take this lifestyle seriously, and not act like a damsel in distress while hoping someone like the Uchiha would save her, said Tsunade since she knew Kurne like most Kunoichi, who took this life seriously, hated fangirls, and tried to push for some kind of academic reform to stomp such things out for years. The Aburame boy is more insect-related and the Hiruno girl is a fangirl. Anything I teach her will go in one ear and out the other, explained Kurne with Tsunade's eyes now narrowing dangerously. And my godson, considering he is the son of a Hokage, many Jounin would jump at the chance to teach him something, and make themselves famous, responded Tsunade with Kurne stiffening a little. I can't teach him anything and I doubt my skills in Jinjutsu hold any real value to him, answered Kurne though her voice was a bit shaky. Is that it? Or do you dislike him for the fact he will one day marry Hyuga Hinata in a few years? Don't bother to deny it, Kurne-san. I know you have a motherly attachment to Hinata, and I know you are one of the people who lost your family to Kyuubi all those years ago, stated Tsunade with Kurne looking away. He's not worthy of Hinata. The brat doesn't even know her. For all you know, the brat is secretly a pervert of the highest level rivaling your old teammate, and will force Hinata to do lewd perverse things for his amusement, replied Kurne with Tsunade narrowing her eyes at the Jounin. Don't you ever compare my godson to that asshole again, Kurne-san. As for getting to know your former charge, I have it on good authority that Naruto is interested in her, and has been getting to know her. In fact, Naruto is getting to know all his future wives now so they can have a strong healthy bond for when they all tie the knot, and form a strong family relationship, said Tsunade with Kurne taking a step back from her out of self-preservation. I'm sorry Hokage-sama, but I believe the standards for any boy being worthy of Hinata are too high for someone like Naruto to reach, and the only reason he's marrying her is because of the entity that once possessed him, replied Kurne with Tsunade letting out a growl. You can't have standards that are rivaled by Kami himself. But make no mistake when I tell you that boy has been through pure hell, and don't you forget about the suffering my godson went through because bigots got that way up until recently. I would have hoped a woman with such a loving nature toward Hinata would give something similar to the boy who will one day be her future husband. Tsunade shot back with Kurne looking away. You were mistaken Hokage-sama, replied Kurne with Tsunade shaking her head in disappointment. Fine. Fortunately, I anticipated this action thanks to reliable sources, and have a suitable replacement to take the job in the event this happened, said Tsunade while waving the now shocked woman away. What? Who do you have that could possibly train this team? Questioned Kurne since it was clear she had believed Tsunade would make some kind of concession to her in exchange for some form of moderate cooperation. A friend of yours, and fellow Kunoichi? Materashi Anko, replied Tsunade, as she saw Kurne look at her in shock, and gasping like a fish in water. Anko, but, she's never taught anyone in her life. She's not qualified? Exclaimed Kurne with Tsunade raising an eyebrow at her. I think she is more than qualified. She can track, capture, interrogate, and while I loathe her sensei with all my being, he did a good job teaching the woman many things. She won't pull punches, or sugarcoat the truth when things need to be spoken. Besides, I think Anko would make a fine Jounin sensei, and just needs to be given the chance. Something this village has not done for either her or Naruto while the former is long overdue for it, answered Tsunade with Kurne scowling. Anko would never agree to this, replied Kurne with Tsunade smirking at her. Actually, she already did. I told her earlier today, stated Tsunade while Kurne's jaw dropped at this news. This was all a test, wasn't it? Accused Kurne with Tsunade shrugging. For the most part, to be honest, I was going to assign you as Jounin Sensei to Kiba and Sasuke, so they could get some additional training outside of Guy's team when they are on a mission of their own. However, your actions here today have just shown me that you're not fit to be a Jounin Sensei just yet, and won't be teaching anyone for an unknown period of time, answered Tsunade with Kurne looking like her world had just been destroyed. You can't do this, exclaimed Kurne with Tsunade shaking her head. I can and I will. Now all of you leave. Asuma, I expect a report on your team's progress every week, what you plan on teaching them, and what they have succeeded in learning from your teaching. You understand me? Do not screw up their training, commanded Tsunade with Asuma nodding while trying to keep himself from sweating. Yes, Hokage-sama, replied Asuma before he and the others left the room. I can't believe her, exclaimed Kurne once they got out of the tower. Yes, I agree, replied Kakashi simply while reading his book. Shut up, pervert. We both know you don't care, replied Kurne with a scowl on her face. True, replied Kakashi before he went off in another direction. I don't suppose you want to explain to me what happened in that office, asked Asuma with Kurne giving him a glare since she felt cheated out of the team she wanted while he got the team he wanted. And he was the son of the Shodaime Hokage. Leave me alone, exclaimed Kurne before she went off to go drown her sorrows at home in private. Academy roof with Genin Team 7. A few days later. Okay you three, my name is Materashi Anko. I'm your Jounin Sensei for Genin Team 7 from here on out, and I will be expecting each of you to give this lifestyle as a shinobi your all. No doing things halfway and then quitting like some chicken shit pansy simply because it's too hard. Got it. Good. Now as all Jounin Senseis normally do, we usually tell our Genin something about us. But I'm not like others, so we're going to skip that for now. And we're only sharing stuff about each other if we want to share. Stuff, said Anko, as she sat down with her first ever Genin team, and gave them a mental once-over in her mind while taking. Aburame Shino was clan heir to the Aburame clan, could communicate with his hive of insects, calm, stoic, kept his emotions in control, and embraced the way of logic, silent, a bit creepy in certain aspects, but Anko knew the boy wasn't a cruel kid, who would use his bugs to scare people, or have them attached to food people were eating, which was a plus since Anko didn't want them hovering over her dongo, or anything else she partakes in eating. She also knew the kid's belief in logic was matched by his high intellect, which was almost as high as the Nara's own, but kept quiet about it, and would only speak when necessary. Hiruno Sakura was a fangirl if there ever was one, and loved the Uchiha prick regardless of how he acted around others. Anko knew that even with all the intense training done during the crash course a short while back, the pink-haired girl was still more focused on getting the attention the Uchiha than focusing on training, and knew Sakura was starting to slack off again only a few days after her graduation. Anko had already expressed her dislike in having the girl on this team, but Tsunade explained there was no alternative, and would just have to take this as a challenge. As for Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, it was no secret that Anko had long since respected the boy before the events of his life changed when putting on that crown, and had even watched out for him secretly in the past. She would have done more, but her own past kept nipping at her heels. The threats of the council's retaliation against any who helped the now red-haired boy would have made living in the village worse, so she had to help when possible, as rare as those moments were, and kept herself from being seen by other shinobi walking around taking great pleasure in seeing the boy abused by mobs. After the incident with the scroll of sealing, she saw Barragan had laid down the age-old law of might equals right, and you couldn't get much mightier than that cruel entity. After Barragan merged with Naruto, the boy himself continued to follow that path, but did so with honor and dignity that told her the Namikaze wouldn't abuse it. And now here he was on her Genin team. If that is the case, Sensei, then logic dictates we begin doing missions for the village, and expanding our teamwork in the process, said Shino calmly with Anko grinning. Correct. Normally, we would do D-ranked missions to expand that teamwork, but after much talk with the Hokage, we both feel this team doesn't need it so much as it needs the old-fashioned out-in-the-field experience, and so, that's what we're going to do. Besides, I've always felt D-ranked missions made the civilian populace fat and lazy because they don't want to do the work themselves. We shinobi earn our bread and butter doing the more aggressive stuff like escorting, protecting, guarding, stealing, and of course killing people when required. The greater the danger, the bigger the pay we get from the client. And don't think that the rank of the mission can't change because it has on multiple occasions. It has, and many shinobi have either been severely injured, crippled, or killed as a result of such changes, replied Anko with Shino nodding along with Naruto doing the same. Sakura looked a bit green in the face. What is our first mission? Asked Naruto with Anko grinning. Well, personally, I'd prefer that you get your feet wet all the way up to your knees, but the Hokage feared I would make you lose your minds, and go insane if not quit being a shinobi. So, with that stipulation in mind, we're going to just get this team's feet wet up to our ankles by just doing a simple C-rank mission to Wave Country, and escorting our client to his home there, answered Anko. What? The Aburame and Namikaze nodded since they felt the best kind of experience was hands-on experience. Sakura looked unsure. When do we meet the client? Asked Shino curiously. Tomorrow morning at the North Gate. The client's name is Tazuna. He's been told who to expect and has been reassured by the Hokage that he's getting the best team around to get him back to Wave Country in one piece. He's an old guy who loves to drink, so expect to meet a grouchy old guy with a hangover tomorrow. And don't be late. You don't show up. You don't go. And you don't get paid, answered Anko with the genin in front of her nodding before they left after she dismissed them. You are giving them a C rank right off the bat? Asked Kurne, as she appeared behind her friend turning around, and smiled a somewhat friendly smile. What? They're big kids now. The Aburame has a good head on his shoulders, and do I really have to ask about a certain red-haired Namikaze? Answered Anko with Kurne scowling. And the girl? Asked Kurne since Anko left out Sakura. She needs a strong kick in the ass. How else am I supposed to get the fangirls stomped out of her? Through a few lectures? A little training, which let's face it will count for nothing if she doesn't maintain a strong regiment. Or perhaps I should smother the pink-haired girl with motherly affection. That's not my style, nor should it be yours either, Kurne, answered Anko with Kurne scowling. You don't know if they will work well together as a team, Anko. You have to give them a teamwork-based exercise, replied Kurne, knowing all other jounin that took on the role of sensei did. And you do. As I recall, you specifically wanted one person among three on a tracking team to teach that would have been of your own creation. The Hyuga girl does not need to be smothered with love, Kurne. Putting her on a team with a horny mutt and stoic bug user won't bring out the girl's potential with you watching over her like a worried parent rather than a competent sensei. She needs middle ground, and Tsunade can give it with the needed field experience when required, answered Anko with Kurne scowling. She's fragile, Anko? Her father and family put her down all the time, calling her a failure, and putting Hinata under my care during the time she learned at the academy. How can I not feel concerned for her? Countered Kurne with Anko scoffing. Please, she's not made of glass that with one touch will fall over and shatter into a few hundred pieces. Sure, she needs a good motivational kick in the butt, but nothing too hard or too soft to get the girl moving in the right direction. You're so used to seeing the frail Hyuga girl escorted to the academy that you don't see the potential everyone else sees in her. I can see it, Tsunade sees it, Naruto sees it, and even the boy's parents can it in her, so why can't you? Stated Anko with Kurne growling in anger. It's all that boy's fault, mumbled Kurne while looking away with Anko hearing her. You're blaming Naruto? Seriously? Questioned Anko with Kurne scowling back at her. Why not? His actions have made Hinata more daring? More bold. She's not the daring or bold type? He's filled her head with delusions of grandeur, believing she can overcome impossible odds, and with their marriage in a few years' time, she'll be utterly ruined. Kurne replied furiously while Anko was shocked the woman would say such a thing. And you prefer the alternative, a shy, meek, and scared of her own shadow kind of girl with a family that will walk all over her. To be like that around a so-called family that was, until a few months ago, just itching to put that cage bird seal on her forehead, and make life even worse for her. Naruto inspired her, still inspires her to get stronger. Why would you want her to be meek, shy, and all that other wallflower girl crap? Countered Anko with Kurne walking over to the railing. I just don't want her to be hurt, Anko. I don't want her to be unhappy, answered Kurne with Anko scoffing. If that were really true, Kurne, you wouldn't blame Naruto for the changes in her, and you would not smother the Hyuga girl in surrogate motherly love. You see the little bird trying to fly away from the nest, and deep down you don't want her to go because you fear she will never come back to visit the surrogate mother who nurtured her, replied Anko, Kurne's head turning quickly to glare at her. She's not ready to fly away? Not yet, stated Kurne firmly with Anko smirking. Well, whether you think she's ready or not to fly, I think we both know the Hyuga girl has flown away, and plans to one day make a nest of her own with the help of another bird. With Namikaze blood in his veins, remarked Anko while Kurne felt her scowl increase. He's not worthy of her in any sense of the word regardless if the Kyuubi was sealed in him, said Kurne with Anko raising an eyebrow at her. Oh really? Well, who the hell is worthy of her? Some snooty noble, a daimyo-san, questioned Anko with Kurne not answering. Just keep the boy on a leash, Anko, and remind him to keep his perverted urges at bay, or I will find a way to castrate him, replied Kurne before she left. Perverted urges? She should be more worried about me giving into such urges with him in a few years, Anko mumbled to herself before she let out a small giggle, knowing that Naruto would be quite the hunk when he became a full-grown adult. The next day. So this is my protection detail I hired. You don't really look like much, especially the pink-haired girl. She stands out like a sore thumb with that hair color, said Tazuna with Sakura looking upset at being insulted while Naruto and Shino ignored it since they did not care for the client's opinion. Anko just smirked. Don't let their appearance throw your belief in us off. The one with dark shades comes from a clan well respected and feared for their mastery over insects. The redhead here can practically be considered overkill if you only knew what his power was capable of, and actually feel sorry for any poor bastards that get in his way, remarked Anko with Tazuna raising an eyebrow. And what about you? You're not exactly dressed in what many would consider shinobi attire, replied Tazuna with Anko grinning further. Let's just say if we do run across any danger, and need to get questions out of those we capture, I'm the woman to do it, said Anko confidently with Tazuna raising an eyebrow further. Hey, what about me sensei? Questioned Sakura with Anko turning to look at her. You have yet to prove yourself, brat? You are trying to impress an Uchiha with your looks rather than actually training to be a shinobi. This mission will give you the chance to impress me with your skills, so if I were you I'd make sure to not fuck it up because you won't get a second chance, stated Anko with Sakura flinching at her words. Yes sensei, replied Sakura with Anko looking at her for a second. Okay, is everyone packed with their essential traveling gear? Good, move out, said Anko with the group in front of her nodding, and following the woman to wave. Hey Gaki, why do you walk with a cane, some kind of past injury? Asked Tazuna with Naruto smirked at him. Hardly, though I will admit I should probably be dead or at the hospital in a coma after all the crap I've been through. The cane is my weapon of choice when in combat, replied Naruto with Tazuna raising an eyebrow in disbelief. No offense kid, but canes only work so well before someone with muscles and a strong enough sword slices it in two, countered Tazuna with Naruto letting out a chuckle. There is more to this cane than meets the eye, sir? Trust me, you may have heard all the stories of shinobi doing incredible things, yet you haven't seen what this item in my hand can do, and should pray that such an event never happens, replied Naruto with a grin on his face. Why is that? Asked Tazuna curiously. Because then you would look upon the face of death should I unleash my full power, and even then the release of such power might kill you, answered Naruto cryptically while Tazuna looked a bit worried, yet a hint of disbelief, and yet, something told the old man this boy was telling the truth. Weird kid, thought Tazuna since he didn't understand half of what shinobi could do, and decided to leave it alone for now. As the group walked for a few hours, Naruto glanced at a nearby puddle, which was a bit of a surprise since there was no rain in the area for several days, and no sign of anything remotely causing such puddle in sight. It was like the puddle had magically manifested itself, and was just sitting there doing nothing. Or at least that is what it would like to the untrained eye. Naruto knew better. His powers of sensory perception and shinobi training told him otherwise. The puddle was no puddle at all, but rather a genjutsu of sorts to hide a pair of assassins in waiting, and itching to strike if the hint of bloodlust leaking around them was any indication. Glancing at Shino, the Aburame noticed it too, and nodded slightly to not give away the fact that he knew the truth. Anko clearly knew as well, as her lip twitched in a way that told Naruto she was suppressing the smile that wanted to manifest over the joy of hurting people coming after the client. Sakura seemed oblivious to it while chatting with the client about his home, and acted like this was a simple trip to visit a relative. After the group got 10 feet from the puddle, it soon shifted to reveal a masked missing nin with gauntlets in his hands followed by another, who looked like his twin standing next to him, and the two leaped into the air to target Anko. The woman leaped out of the way, into the tree. Shino grabbed the client and dove for the nearby bushes. Sakura drew a kunai from her holster, apparently not the scared fangirl Anko thought she was, so that was encouraging. And as for Naruto, he just stood there looking at the two missing nin, currently encircling him with their razor-sharp chain linked to one of their gauntlets. Their plan was clear in using the chain, their speed, and momentum to rip the Namikaze to shreds in a horrifying gory fashion. A good combination of teamwork on their part, as they were taught during their years at Miss Shinobi Academy despite the means that was required to graduate and become a shinobi in the first place. However, no amount of teamwork could prepare these two for Naruto, and his hollow powers given to him by Barragan. First, he let the chain wrap around him, let the two missing nin think they had succeeded in killing him, ignored Sakura shouting at him to use the karmi to escape, and then watched the chain snap from the string. They put on it along with themselves from all that momentum they used to make it happen. They damn near lost their arms from the sudden yank back when the chain reached its limit in being pulled before the chain broke. The two shinobi looked at each other in shock for a moment, wondering how the red-haired boy survived the chain's razor's edge from obliterating him, and decided to move to Plan B. The one behind Naruto moved for the client while the other moved for the red-haired boy, with each attacker using the gauntlets as the means to end the lives of their targets. Shino quickly called his bugs out to swarm around him in a way that would shock, and even terrify the missing nin from mist for a moment long enough for the Aburame swarm to attack. The insects swarmed over the attacker, devouring his chakra quickly, and bringing him to the point of falling unconsciousness. As for the second one, who went after Naruto, he found himself missing his strike aimed at the boy's head, and was promptly elbowed in the face with his body being sent flying into a nearby tree. Before the man even had a chance of getting up, Naruto was in front of him in a second, and was hit viciously again in the face with the boy's cane while a foot was on the hand with gauntlet. Well done you two, same to you Sakura, stance is defensive, weapon drawn, and your eyes are surprisingly sharp. There is still hope for you yet, replied Anko before leaping from her perch, and threw the missing nin from mist over to where Naruto had the other one pinned. I don't want to disappoint you Anko-sensei, answered Sakura with Anko looking at her for a moment before focusing on their two attackers. Okay you two Bacchus, who do you work for? Questioned Anko with the one pinned by Naruto glaring at her. Fuck you bitch, maybe if you blow me I might drop a hint, replied the missing nin with Anko grinning all too sweetly at him. Naruto, be a good student, and stomp this explosive tag in my hand down on this guy's crotch, said Anko with Naruto grinning too. Wait, don't do that, I want to have kids someday, protested the down shinobi in a panic. You should have answered my sensei's question. To be honest, you're getting off easy compared to what she can really do. And don't forget about me. As cruel as my sensei is when it comes to these matters, I'm respectfully much worse, replied Naruto with the missing nin looking from him to Anko, who just smirked with a brief nod, and it made the former shinobi from mist start to panic further. Wait, spare me, and my brother. I'll tell you anything and everything you want to know, exclaimed the missing nin from mist with Naruto looking at Anko who nodded in approval at the offer though she clearly wanted to see someone get their nuts blown off. Talk or my student here does something unimaginable and horrifying to your manhood, commanded Anko before the missing nin from mist, now identified by name as Mizu, who was one of the two demon brothers, explained they were hired by Gato to kill the bridge builder and prevent the completion of a massive bridge that connected the island country to the mainland. Why was Gato doing it? Because the ruthless businessman was suffocating the country using his shipping company to monopolize what came in or out while crushing the life of the people in the process. If the bridge is completed, Gato's hold is broken, and Wave Country would be free from his tyranny. Well, this day is just full of surprises, remarked Naruto while Sakura was tying the two missing nin up. Yep, this mission just went from C rank to A rank with this new information. Instead of protecting the client from mere bandits, we now have to protect the old man from high-level shinobi. And since the bingo book has these two having been known for partnering up with another missing nin, this changeth things for us, answered Anko before looking over at Tazuna, who was currently pale in the face, and clearly knew what it meant. Higher ranked mission meant higher the pay was required by the client to be given to the shinobi guarding the client to continue going through with the mission. No cash, no protection, please, you have to understand. My country is poor, just like he said, all I could afford was the C rank escort. I just need your help getting back home so I can build the bridge so our country's economy can jumpstart itself, said Tazuna with Anko looking at her students. Well, what do you three think? Keep going, or leave the old man high and dry, asked Anko with Tazuna looking ready to get on his knees, and begged them. I say we keep going. We're more than qualified for this regardless of our age. Besides, this Gato guy sounds like someone I should hate with all my being, and should kill on sight regardless if I get paid for it, answered Naruto since this cruel businessman used his money to buy power, but truth was in the red-haired boy's mind was power could not be bought, and had to be earned. At best, Gato could rent such power to those interested in money, but he could never buy it, and would never be powerful in his own right. In Naruto's mind, he was a false king claiming a country that was not his to take. I agree with my comrade. It is illogical to go back now when we have already made so much progress in such a short amount of time. We know who the enemy is and who his employer is too. I say we proceed, stated Shino with Naruto giving him a nod of respect at his words. I say we should go. The country is suffering, and I can't back out now simply because the rank has gone up, answered Sakura with her answer surprising Naruto and Anko since they didn't expect it. This is a bit unexpected. Since when did you decide to do the opposite of a fangirl? Questioned Anko with suspicion while Sakura looked away. You said I had to prove myself to you. We both know that if I back out now I'll prove I'm worthless, and unfit to be a Konoha shinobi, answered Sakura with Anko narrowing her eyes at her further. What is going on here? She shouldn't be acting like this so suddenly, not to mention her interaction with Naruto has been civil, no glaring, no name calling. Something is off about her, thought Anko before glancing at Naruto, who nodded slightly, and knew that they would get to the bottom of this soon enough. For now they had a mission to complete. With the demon brothers tied up, Naruto had opened up a telepathic link to his father, which he learned to possess during his time training with his parents, given the unique situation that caused both of his parents to have it, and told a former yondaime of what was going on. Minato's first instinct was to provide his son with backup with himself and Kushina, but Naruto told him no, and just told a man to pick up the demon brothers before informing the Hokage, so she was brought up to date on the matter. After he gave his father and mother reassurance, Naruto focused on the road in front of him, and even to the pink-haired girl walking to the right of Tazuna. Since that morning, the girl's behavior was off, different than usual, and not once did she glare at him. By all accounts, Sakura should have done that, or at the very least called him a baka once during this entire trip. Yet she was respectful, showed resolve, and acted like a shinobi should in a situation like they just encountered. Naruto quickly came to the conclusion that this girl on their team was not one Hiruno Sakura. Focusing his pesquisa on the girl, Naruto narrowed his eyes, and gripped his cane tighter, while they walked. Looking over at Shino, it was clear from the subtle frown on the Aburame's usually stoic face that he came to the same conclusion, and the two looked over to Anko with the woman nodding in agreement. This was not Hiruno Sakura at all. It was an imposter? But how to expose the imposter? Do it right now, in front of the client? No. That would be a stupid and amateurish move on their part, since it would just make Tazuna think that Konoha had disorganized shinobi. Granted, Naruto along with Anko thought most of the shinobi in Konoha were idiots for their bigoted ways, with Shino agreeing from a logical standpoint on past behavior, but if Tazuna could make other potential clients think all Konoha shinobi didn't know their head from their ass, and that was unacceptable, so with the same mentality, the trio agreed that they would expose this false Sakura after getting to Wave Country, and get an explanation on why the shinobi was impersonating the pink-haired girl. If by some chance the enemy shinobi they would no doubt encounter forced her hand, the better it was for them, because it gave the trio the excuse to confront the imposter, and find out what happened to the real Sakura. They would decide to wait elsewhere. Those two you sent after the bridge builder failed their mission. Zabuza. You and your shinobi aren't worth the price I'm paying? Complained Gato while in Zabuza's current hideout. Zabuza's response, pointing his giant sword at Gato's face, watch it pal, you think my price is high? Try going to Kumosuna, or any of the other villages. My fee is small compared to them. Besides, the idea of having a hand in making an entire country suffer and die via your shrewd business practices will make their cages hesitant to even act. Hell, some of them might even try to assassinate you just to get some future clients, or simply because they don't like you, answered Zabuza, as he didn't like the man right now, and it was only because the money was needed. Did the demon of the bloody mist stay his sword hand? Be as that may, I'm still paying you quite a hefty sum, and I expect positive results. Now Tazuna's escort will be on alert for future attacks, and might even stay to protect the old fool until the bridge is built. If that happens, my control over this country will be ruined. And you don't get paid, exclaimed Gato with Zabuza narrowing his eyes at him. I know what will happen, Gato. I don't need a seedy, shrewd, tight-fisted businessman like you telling me things I already know. Trust me, the game isn't over yet. We've only just begun to fight, stated Zabuza before turning to look at his masked subordinate, who just nodded to him and knowing what to do. And the demon of the bloody mist smirked behind his bandages. The enemy won the first round. Now it was time for round 2. With Anko and Team 7? So that's the bridge? Asked Naruto while seeing the massive incomplete construction project Tazuna was put in charge of that would bring hope to his dying country. Yeah, is it something? Once completed, our country will have a chance to become strong again, and life will return once more, answered Tazuna, as he along with his escort, and the boatman slowly ferrying them across a large body of water made their way in Wave Country. That is the next logical step. But why hasn't Gato destroyed the bridge using his less than honorable employees? Asked Shino curiously. Because he doesn't want to attract unwanted attention. Killing a few people inside the country is easy to sweep under the rug with enough money and influence. But if he blew it up, something like that can't be ignored, and word would reach other countries. He would risk notice from shinobi villages, daimyos, rival businesses, and cause a whole slew of problems that no amount of money can stop, answered Anko, as she knew that if Gato did destroy the bridge at this late in the game, it would draw a lot of eyes toward him, and Wave Country's economic plight. She's right. Destruction of this thing on any scale turns heads, and inquiries are made into what is going on here in this section of the world, added Naruto while glancing at the fake Sakura next to him to see her looking at the bridge yet keeping quiet. Again, it was unlike the Sakura he and the others knew. How far away is your house, Tazuna-san? Asked Sakura curiously. It's not that far from the bridge. A few miles past it actually. It's by the water, so if Gato were to try anything, I could get my family out of the country, and onto the mainland, answered Tazuna with the group nodding. We're almost there, Tazuna. It's fortunate that Gato's boat patrols haven't come this way yet, said the boatman carrying them across the mist-filled area. Yes, fortunate, remarked Naruto with narrowed eyes. We're expected, thought Anko and Shino. Roughly 20 minutes later, the group disembarked from the boat, the ferryman paid, and they were soon on their way to Tazuna's house. Along the way, the group noticed it was extremely quiet, too quiet for their liking, and they knew something or someone was here waiting for them. Bringing out a kunai, Naruto threw it into a nearby bush several feet ahead of them, hearing the sound of movement behind it, and upon inspection found a single scared white bunny. Your sensory ability seems off today, Naruto-san, said Shino while Anko picked up the bunny to examine it. No, I sensed someone there. It was a person, not an animal. Whoever was there used substitution to escape the kunai, replied Naruto with Anko nodding. He's right, this is a winter coat for a bunny in winter, but it's spring right now, and all wild bunnies in spring should have brown coats, added Anko with Naruto nodding. That means this bunny is domesticated, stated Sakura with Anko narrowing her eyes at the imposter. Not once has she even yelled at Naruto for his actions with the bunny. She is acting so calm and completely professional. Not one single action of a fangirl, thought Anko, as she looked from Sakura to the bunny, and was trying to figure things out while putting the animal in a storage scroll, before the whistling sound of a projectile was heard behind them. Down! Yelled Naruto with Anko, Shino, Sakura, and Tazuna obeying the command while the Namikaze himself grabbed the projectile with his bare hand before throwing it into a distant tree. The projectile in question, it was a giant sword. A Zanbato to be exact? Impressive, kid. Not many shinobi can do what you just did. In fact, you would be the first person I know to even do that, stated a gruff voice of a shirtless man with bandages on his face and wearing grayish camouflage pants while standing on the hilt of his sword. You should see me birthday parties, commented Naruto with the figure smirking at him. What's your name, brat? Asked the figure. Naruto. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha? What's yours? Answered Naruto with the figure's eyes widening slightly. Zabuza. Mamachi Zabuza, formerly of Mist, replied Zabuza with Anko's eyes widening in shock, and she tensed at the sight of him. The demon of the bloody mist? Master of the silent killing technique, stated Anko with Zabuza smirking at her. So you know of my reputation, replied Zabuza with a hint of pride in his voice. Difficult not to, considering what you did to become a shinobi. What you did at the Mist Academy was overkill even by their standards, stated Anko with Zabuza's smirk getting bigger behind his bandages. It's ironic when you consider the only way to pass the exam is to kill a fellow student in combat. I got a lot of extra credit that day, replied Zabuza, with a small chuckle from his mouth. Clearly, I take you are under Gato's employ, stated Naruto with Zabuza nodding. Correct. Gato wants the bridge builder dead? Hand over the old man, and I'll spare all of your lives, offered Zabuza, with Naruto scoffing at him. No deal, replied Naruto with Zabuza smirking at him. Good. I was hoping to get in a few kills this week, remarked Zabuza, before he dropped down to the ground with his sword in hand with his killer intent flooding the area around him. Protect the bridge builder? Commanded Anko with her genin team moving into triangle formation around the old man. So pointless, remarked Zabuza, as he was between Tazuna and Sakura with his sword ready to slice the old man in two, only to miss the man completely along with the others a second later. Care to rethink that statement? Questioned Naruto, as he used Sunito to save his team and the client from being sliced in two. You're fast, kid. That was unnatural, stated Zabuza with Naruto smirking. At least you're original in how you described me just now. At least it's not as negative as you could have made it sound, countered Naruto with Zabuza narrowing his eyes. Those eyes, they are the same as, thought Zabuza before his instincts screamed at him to move, and dodged an incoming projectile of energy from Naruto of just barely. Good instincts. Aside from my parents, no one has ever dodged my bala before today. Though something tells me that was a luck, said Naruto with his hand outstretched, and saw Zabuza look at the damage the boy's projectile did. That attack tore through the trees like they were nothing. If I didn't move, I'd be dead, thought Zabuza, knowing he had to get serious here. Damn, I don't know what this Gaki just did, but I'm so glad I hired his team, thought Tazuna while slightly wondering if he should actually stop drinking just to make sure that his mind wasn't playing tricks on him. Hidden mist jutsu, stated Zabuza, as he covered the entire area in a heavy mist, and vanished from sight. Careful. Mamachi Zabuza can use this to kill us all with ease without making a sound, stated Anko with her team being on guard while Tazuna began to sweat. How very true. I've used this particular jutsu on many occasions, and some of my easier kills were always in places where mist was a general occurrence that no one suspected it was created for the purpose of bringing about instant death, replied Zabuza, while letting his voice echo around them so they couldn't pinpoint his location. So how do we stop him if we can't even see him? Asked Sakura before the presence of Zabuza was behind her and could feel his breath on her neck. You can't, answered Zabuza, before swinging his blade down on the girl in the belief that one less genin was one less defense standing in his way. Clang, only to be stopped by Naruto's own weapon that was his Zanpakuto that was in the form of a double-edged battle axe was being held in the hand of his outstretched right arm. Care to try again, offered Naruto, as he was easily held the weapon in its position, and it was even more impressive given how it was holding back Zabuza's blade too. The Skaki isn't natural, thought Zabuza before he was stabbed by Anko with one of her kune, and turned into a puddle of water? He was a water clone, exclaimed Anko in surprise with Zabuza appearing behind her. Yes, he was, stated Zabuza before he swung his blade and aimed to take the kunoichi's head off, only for Anko to duck, and kicked him in the stomach. You won't get me that easily, stated Anko before the Zabuza she hit turned into water. He must have a large source of water nearby to make them so easily. To draw them out without a water supply is draining, deduced Shino since he had read up on water clones, and the drawbacks of using them. I think it's time Zabuza realized just who it is he's dealing with, remarked Naruto while Anko nodded in agreement since it was her time to get more active in the fight. She decided to use her acute sense of smell akin to that of snakes she had developed from years of training along with her connection to the snakes themselves. In a way, Anko had to thank her bastard of a former sensei that was Orochimaru for the training she had that even made this possible, and was able to pinpoint Zabuza through the thickness of the mist. Hidden shadow snake hands, called out Anko, as she launched her snakes from the sleeve of her trench coat towards Zabuza, and they quickly tried to bite into him. Damn it, it seems Orochimaru of the Sanin's former student can wield snakes just like him, thought Zabuza while dodging each snake, chopping their heads off, and trying to get close to target the bridge builder, only to find himself surrounded by bugs thanks to the Aburame, and that were draining him of his chakra. Cursing further, Zabuza ducked into a barrel roll to dodge Naruto's weapon of choice, aiming to cut off his head, and began fighting the red-haired boy with his own weapon. It was clear to the former Mist Shinobi from the start that Naruto was stronger than he first realized, and was pushed back violently against a tree. This is the end, Zabuza, said Naruto, as he moved in for the kill, but the former Mist Shinobi ducked again under the strike, and went through hand signs. We'll see about that, you little brat. Let's see if you can try this on for size. Water style. Water dragon jutsu, exclaimed a slightly peeved Zabuza, as he unleashed a massive dragon made up of water at Naruto, and hit the boy dead on. When the jutsu died down, Naruto didn't look the least hurt by the attack. Soaking wet, yes, but uninjured with an amused expression on his face. My turn, Zabuza. Water style. Water dragon jutsu, exclaimed Naruto, as he sent the same jutsu back at Zabuza, only with more chakra, and more power behind this one. Shit, his water dragon is twice the size of mine, thought Zabuza, as he was hit hard by the jutsu, and sent crashing down to the ground. Time to die, stated Naruto with his Zanpakuto raised, and ready to bring it down on the demon of the bloody mist, only for Zabuza to be hit in the neck by Senbon needles, and the man to fall down dead. Thank you for your assistance in combating Zabuza. I've been tracking him for a while now, and waiting for the right time to strike, replied a masked shinobi resembling a hunter nin from Mist. You sure took your sweet time, commented Sakura with the masked shinobi looking at her for a moment and then went to pick the downed man up. I did not wish to interfere with the fight due to the risk of myself, and to yourselves in the event my sudden unexpected appearance became a distraction for your group at a crucial moment during the battle, replied the masked hunter nin. So you say, replied Naruto with narrowed eyes, you believe me to be something other than what I appear? Asked the hunter nin while tightening the grip around Zabuza's body. I don't just believe it, I know it. I sensed someone in the bushes where that white-haired bunny was located. It wasn't Zabuza because he is too big, and the sword would have stuck out like a sore thumb. It had to be someone of smaller height, who could fit in it when crouched. And then there is the fact the energy signature I felt was identical to your own. So unless you have an identical twin with that exact same chakra signature as yours, I don't believe for 1 second you're here to destroy the body, but save the body and the life of Mamachi Zabuza, answered Naruto with the hunter nin getting tense. We will meet again, count on it, replied the fake hunter nin before the two were gone in an instant. Should we pursue? Asked Shino with Naruto, and Anko shaking their head no. No, that's not our job. Our mission is to get Tazuna back to his home, and after that is done, we are going to have a team meeting, answered Anko while looking at Sakura, who looked nervous, and the suspicion the former student of Orochimaru had about the identity of the impersonator was getting stronger. Then we should not delay ourselves any further, replied Naruto with the group walking forward with his Zanpakuto changing back into a cane. You guys were super awesome. I'm so glad I hired your group, said Tazuna while he walked with them to his house. Stop, you're making me blush, old man, replied Anko with a grin, though inwardly she was seething over her suspicions of the impersonator of Hiruno Sakura, and didn't like it one bit. Tazuna's home sometime later? Father. Oh, thank Kami, I feared Gado's men had killed you, exclaimed Tsunami, who hugged her father, and gestured the group to enter. I would have been Tsunami if it wasn't for these super awesome shinobi I hired, stated Tazuna while making sure his daughter knew it was because of them that he was alive. Thank you for protecting my father. I know he's not one of the most likable of people at times while drinking, or has a hangover, replied Tsunami with her father grumbling about not being treated with respect. Don't worry about it, he's tame compared to the people we know, replied Anko, which was true since she, Naruto, and even Shino for his bloodline knew people in Konoha with bigoted views. Still, I'm glad you were able to bring him home safely, said Tsunami, while the sound of tiny footsteps was heard and everyone saw a child glaring at the group before leaving for the second floor. Who is the runt? Yours, I take it, asked Anko with Tsunami nodding. Yes, my son Inari. He's not a happy boy right now, answered Tsunami with the others frowning. His brooding reminds me of an emo boy back in Konoha. He better get out of this emo state, or I'm going to make him, stated Naruto, since he was not going to tolerate such a child being near him, or his team. His team was its own emo-free zone, and Naruto planned to keep it that way. We do have rooms upstairs? The two boys can bunk together while the girls can be in the room next to them, said Tsunami with the boys nodding and Anko doing the same while Sakura looked a bit nervous, and rightfully so. Time to hit the hay? Exclaimed Anko while dragging Sakura upstairs while Naruto and Shino calmly walked up the stairs. I have observed that our sensei is quite eccentric, stated Shino with Naruto smirking at him. Yeah, let's go with that, replied Naruto before his face became serious. So you noticed it too, stated Shino with Naruto nodding. Sakura is not Sakura, we have an imposter. Judging from the chakra level and signature I sense coming off of the girl, I know who it is, answered Naruto with the scowl now forming on his face. You've had dealings with this person before? Questioned Shino with Naruto shaking his head. No, not me. Grandpa Barragan met her once soon when he first took over my body, replied Naruto with Shino frowning. I do not recall when that happened. Could you be more specific? Shino probed further with Naruto nodding and told her, with the Aburame stopping in his tracks? With Anko? Drop the disguise, commanded Anko once the door was shut after throwing Sakura into the room, and put up a sound barrier jutsu. Sensei? Asked Sakura before Anko took a step forward. You have 5 seconds, exactly 5 fucking seconds to remove that genjutsu over your body, or I am going to seriously fuck you up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, said Anko before Sakura put her hands up. Alright, Kai, exclaimed Sakura before the form the Hiruno girl vanished in front of Anko's eyes, and revealed Yuhi Kyurne in her place. I expected someone would try sabotaging my genin team. Kakashi, Jiraiya, even the former Shodaime Hokage himself, but you taking their place in the matter, never saw coming? Never. So tell me why. Why are you doing this? Revenge of some kind against Naruto? Me in some way? Where is the real Sakura? Did she agree to this? She must have if you thought a short to long-term mission outside the village to another country was possible without raising any red flags with your disappearance mixing with your own, questioned Anko with Kyurne looking away from her. I didn't approach Sakura. She approached me with the offer to take her place on the mission. I had some time saved up for time off, and put it in so no one would miss my presence in the village. Sakura was going to lay low within her house until my return, where I would tell her what happened in detail so she could make it seem like she had actually gone on the mission, replied Kyurne with Anko raising an eyebrow at her. Somehow that doesn't surprise me. You accepting the mission does? Why the hell did you accept in the first place? Did you want to discredit me? Are you doing it out of spite against the fifth, because she wouldn't give you the team and genin you wanted? Asked Anko with Kyurne sighing. Because I wanted to observe Naruto while on the mission, to see how strong he truly was so I could determine if he was truly worthy of Hinata, answered Kyurne before she was shoved against the wall, and Anko looking her dead in the eyes. Bullshit. I know when you're lying, and this is one of them. You're telling a half-truth and wanting to observe Naruto, but not to see if he was worthy of the Hyuga girl's hand in marriage. You were observing Naruto to see when the time was right to get close to him so you could to take a Kyune out to slice his neck open. You were planning to kill him. Kill my student? Kill the son of a Hokage, said Anko accusingly with Kyurne scowling at her. He's not worthy of Hinata. I will not have that bringer of death tied to a girl with the desire to heal others and protect life, exclaimed Kyurne before she was slapped in the face by Anko. You listen to me, Kyurne. When we get back to Konoha, the Hokage is going to own your sorry ass. But until then, I own your ass. And I own you, so any order given will be obeyed to the letter. Also, don't bother trying to hide yourself from Naruto, or from Shino, since I know they can tell you are not Sakura. For the moment, you will have to keep the disguise of being Sakura for the sake of the client and his family, so Konoha isn't filled entirely to the brim with incompetent shinobi, commanded Anko, with Kurne nodding. Sensei. Would look bad for Konoha if they knew the truth? I understand, answered Kurne in a submissive tone. Good. Now let's get some sleep. We have to prepare for Zabuza and the fake hunter nin he had with him. Not to mention Gato's hired thugs, ordered Anko, with Kurne nodding in agreement. With Zabuza? Damn it, Haku. You know how much I hate it when you use those needles and target my neck. Sometimes I think you do that just to spite me, stated Zabuza while the fake mist hunter nin named Haku took off the mask to look at him. Sorry, Zabuza-sama, but it was the only way to save you and make the Konoha shinobi believe your death was real, replied Haku, with Zabuza frowning. Lot of good that did us. They knew who you were instantly after I got hit by the needles and used the mist hunter nin bit. Not to mention that red-haired Gaki was different from the others. His strength was unreal. I still can't believe the kid grabbed my sword and just threw it away from his team like it was nothing. Didn't even blink when my killer intent filled the area? What was his last name? Namikaze? There was an Uzumaki in there too, I think, right? Questioned Zabuza, with Haku nodding. Yes, though I don't see how that seems possible, Zabuza-sama. The only Namikaze in the Leaf died roughly 12 years ago, and so did the last Uzumaki around that time too, answered Haku, with Zabuza frowning and letting out a growl. So we and everyone else in the elemental countries has believed until now. This boy is clearly their son, and he's been trained to do the impossible. If you fought the boy while I took on the rest of the team with him protecting the bridge builder, could you defeat the brat in combat? Asked Zabuza, with Haku thinking for a moment. I believe I can, but it would require going all out with my bloodline, and you yourself can't fight until your injuries heal, replied Haku, with Zabuza frowning. That purple-haired Kunoichi is something else. Orochimaru's former student, from what I've heard. She lives up to her reputation in being skilled with snakes. Same with the Aburame? That pink-haired girl, she seems weak at first glance, but I thought I sensed the Jinjutsu around her. There are too many variables here, Haku. I don't like it. Not one bit, replied Zabuza, with Haku sighing. Well, it's not like we can demand Gato pay us more due to the risks increasing, remarked Haku, with Zabuza growling angrily at the mention of the businessman. That stingy tight-fisted fuck acts like he can boss us around simply because of the money in his possession. Remind me to sneak into his base and rob the greedy fucker blind when this mission is done, said Zabuza, with Haku nodding, since it was their secret policy when it came to jerks like Gato with lots of money. That they left on a sour note. And right now Gato was as sour as a bucket full of lemons. It had been 2 days since Jen and Team 7 made it to Tezuna's house. 2 long days for Yuhi Kurne, who had to keep her disguise around the client's home, fooling the old drunk for a bridge builder, his daughter, and brooding emo for a grandson. The rest of Team 7 had a meeting later on not far from the house, but clearly seeable should any kind of problem arise, and it was in this moment that Kurne revealed herself to them. Neither Genin were surprised when she did. I take it she knows what awaits her when we get back to Konoha, questioned Naruto, with his eyes never leaving Kurne's own. Oh, she knows. She'll only reveal herself should push come to shove on this mission, but I don't think that will happen unless things get nasty. They still might, so I expect Kurne to bring everything she's got into completing this mission, regardless of the set difficulty level, answered Anko, with Kurne grimacing slightly since she knew what awaited her in Konoha, and it was not going to be pleasant. Good. Zabuza we have detailed information on, but his loyal subordinate is a mystery to us, and that could be a problem in the future if we're not careful, replied Naruto, with the others in the group nodding, since there was no mention in the bingo book about Zabuza having anyone outside of the Demon Brothers working for him. Agreed. Kurne and I will watch over the client. You two should continue training as usual, but don't let your guard down, and watch out for any possible threats aimed at this house. Zabuza may be out of commission for a little while, but his subordinate is not, and there are still Gato's army of thugs he might send here once his patience has snapped, said Anko, with Shino and Naruto nodding. I just wish Tezuna's grandson for a brat would stop brooding and sulking like his whole world is the worst one in existence, said Naruto at last, since Inari had done just that the whole time. Losing one surrogate father before your eyes isn't exactly pleasant, Naruto-san. All he has left are his parents, and the country itself is suffocating around him, stated Shino, as he saw Naruto grip his cane tighter and give the Aburame a cold yet burning look. He still has his mother. He still has his grandfather. He has their love. And what does that brat do? He sulks, broods, and spits on the memory of the man that stood up against Gato and died for it. Rather than find a way to get stronger to honor the man, Inari cries like a baby, and does nothing. It's high time he and the rest of this country stand up to Gato. By the time this mission is over, this village will believe in heroes again. I promise you that much will happen, stated Naruto before walking away from the group to train. Inari better not do something stupid to piss Naruto off. It won't end well, remarked Anko before she motioned Kurne to follow while Shino stared at Naruto for a moment while thinking things over in his mind. With Zabuza and Haku? I was wondering why you had yet to succeed in killing the bridge builder, and now I do know. You failed Zabuza? Against a full-grown woman, and her 3 brats for students no less. I'm paying you to kill an old man, and his pathetic bodyguard detail, who I doubt were paid much given how poor he was when first leaving this cesspool of a country. All you had to do at the very least was terrify his protection detail enough to flee, kill the old man, and be done with it. Instead, you lost the demon brothers, are now injured, and the bridge builder is trying to finish his bridge. How can you explain yourself for this failure, Zabuza? Demanded Gato while glaring at the bandaged-faced and bedridden man in front of him. The woman was once Orochimaru of the Sanin's former apprentice. Someone like that isn't a pushover? As for the 3 genin with her, they are strong. Stronger than genin should be at that age? The red-haired brat who caught the blade of my sword with his bare hand, and then threw it away from the group is no doubt the strongest of them all. There is something about him that makes him unusually different when compared to the others with him, answered Zabuza while Gato sneered. Bah! You got sloppy and arrogant from doing this kind of thing for too long. You want to get paid. Heal your injuries and finish the job I hired you for, Zabuza. No more screw-ups, and no more excuses, or else, exclaimed Gato before leaving with his 2 guards while Haku watched them go with cautious yet calculating eyes. What a bag of hot air, remarked Zabuza with Haku smiling at him. You should be healed by the end of the week, Zabuza-sama, provided you don't strain yourself further, replied Haku, while seeing Zabuza smirk behind his bandages. I won't push myself too hard, Haku. I want a rematch with that red-haired Namikaze kid that might also be in Uzumaki too, answered Zabuza, with Haku nodding. He's dangerous. I sense power behind him? Incredible and frightening power, said Haku worriedly with Zabuza nodding. Did you follow up on the rumors springing up within Konoha regarding the Gaki? Asked Zabuza with Haku nodding. Yes, it appears that the rumors being whispered of the former Shodaime Hokage and his wife returning from the dead are in fact true. Iwa has been buzzing with movement and Kumo has been rumbling as well. One no doubt wants the former Hokage dead while the other wishes to study them to duplicate the process that made it happen, answered Haku while Zabuza frowned at this news. And the boy himself, what's his story? Asked Zabuza with Haku's eyes becoming a bit distant. He was once the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Rumor has it that the boy did something a few months ago, and summoned an entity that killed the bijou sealed within him, answered Haku with Zabuza snorting. The bijou can't die, Haku? If that were true, then this world wouldn't have been able to create a 3rd-generation Jinchuriki. What else? Replied Zabuza with Haku still having that sad look from moments ago. He was hated by nearly all of Konoha. If the rumors are true, the boy was attacked and hurt repeatedly by the village. Both shinobi and civilians have tried to murder him on multiple occasions, answered Haku with Zabuza frowning. They didn't know he was the son of the Shodaime Hokage, questioned Zabuza with Haku shrugging. Some apparently knew of his heritage, but they still didn't care, and hid the truth from everyone else while his Jinchuriki status was known to all the adults, answered Haku while Zabuza scoffed slightly. Who thought that was a good idea? Asked Zabuza with Haku smirking. The Shodaime Hokage, the now twice retired Shodaime Hokage, answered Haku while Zabuza just couldn't believe the old man's stupidity. I see. Regardless of his past or present status, I don't intend to lose a second time to the Gaki. When the fight happens on the bridge, you will take down the Aburame and the pink-haired eyesore. The woman and the red-haired brat are mine to kill, ordered Zabuza with Haku nodding at his order. Understood, Zabuza-sama? In the meantime, you need to get some rest while I gather the necessary herbs tomorrow morning, in order to speed up your recovery, answered Haku before heading for the door. Tazuna's house that night. Dinner with Tazuna's family was a quiet one at the moment. Kurne, who was currently in her disguise, as Sakura was being polite, and helping Tsunami in the kitchen. Anko was going over the schedule with the other 2 genin on who would guard Tazuna, and for how long until the next rotation. At the same time, Inari was glaring at the group like he had since their arrival, as if they were the source of the family's problems, and wanted them gone. Okay, tomorrow, Shino will watch over Tazuna during the morning watch, and Naruto will take over into the afternoon. Sakura and I will watch over the rest of the family until later on at night when we are all here. My snake summons have been guarding the house at night with no problems so far, but that doesn't mean everyone here gets to sleep in and be lazy in thinking this house is impenetrable. So sleep lightly, or with one eye open from here on out because these next few days are when we should be the most alert," stated Anko while eating her meal with her Jen and nodding. "Why do you even bother trying?" asked Inari with the group looking at him. "Why do you even bother asking?" countered Naruto with the child's eyes glaring at him directly now. "Because Gato is invincible. He's too strong. You can't beat him," exclaimed Inari, and the group of shinobi looked at each other before shaking their heads. "Gato is just a figurehead. His so-called power is the money he pays thugs to do the dirty work for him. Take away the money, you take away his power. And his army of thugs the man has hired to harass the people here in this country," replied Naruto with his team in full agreement with him on the matter. "What do you know? You're just a visitor. You've seen a few days of what everyone has to go through. You don't know what it means to suffer," exclaimed Inari with tears in his eyes, and glaring at the red-haired boy. And his words were the worst thing you could say to Naruto. "I don't know what it means to suffer. Did I hear you correctly? Did he seriously just say that to me? To my face?" questioned Naruto with Anko groaning, knowing what Inari just said was the worst thing to say to the redhead, and Shino shifting a little in his seat with a sense of unease behind his large coat. Even Kurne behind her Sakura disguise tensed while watching from the kitchen. "So what if I did?" challenged Inari before he was grabbed from his seat by the collar of his shirt by Naruto, and lifted off of his chair to stare right in the red-haired boy's face. "Look into my eyes, boy. Take a good long look into these eyes. These eyes have seen and experienced more hardship, more pain, more anguish, horror, and betrayal than you could ever hope to know in 1,000 lifetimes. By the time I was at your age, I've been beaten, stabbed, burned, poisoned, nearly had all my bones broken, and starved for food with what little I could get, being so rotten a hungry rat wouldn't eat it. The leader of the village, who I trusted to watch over me, was a liar, a cheat, and he betrayed me on many levels. My parents, who sacrificed their lives for me, were loved, honored, and praised for their sacrifice. As for me, I was hated because of it. My own godfather betrayed me. My godmother was lied to in order to get her away from Konoha so she couldn't raise me like my parents wanted. You couldn't last the 2 weeks in my shoes growing up, boy, and I've had to endure crap from my own village since I was born up until a few months ago. Live my life year 1 through 12 without killing yourself like I've tried to do in the past, and then come see me about suffering. Until then, keep your head down and your mouth shut when it comes to talking about suffering, because in the end, ITSUWHO knows nothing of suffering," exclaimed Naruto before tossing the boy into Kurne, who barely caught the boy, and the Namikaze himself decided to leave the house in the possible chance he used his spiritual pressure to kill everyone around him. "Did that really happen to him? Was it all true?" asked Tsunami with Anko nodding. Every word of what Naruto said was true. Back in Konoha, Naruto was the Jinchuriki of Kaiubi no Kitsune, and the strongest of all the 9 legendary Bijou. Jinchuriki hold the Bijou they have sealed inside their body, even have the ability to access the Bijou's power, and are used mostly as weapons of war. Ironically enough, the people that hate Jinchuriki are also the ones that make them, and use them as deterrents of war, when they aren't used in them. In the last 3 shinobi wars, Konoha hasn't used its previous Jinchurikis, who preceded Naruto, and Konoha in the past as a whole was never made aware of who the chosen Jinchuriki was due to the mistreatment they would receive. As a result, however, recently events have drastically changed Naruto's position in life, and now he's no longer Konoha's punching bag, answered Anko, and looked sadly into her drink. "So he was essentially alone the whole time?" questioned Tazuna with Anko nodding. "For the most part, some shinobi who didn't hate Naruto have been able to intervene on a few occasions when the beatings got really bad, but they were so few and far in terms of the times he was saved. You have to understand why Naruto is upset at your grandson for his words. Inari, you talk about suffering like everything here is the absolute worst, and no one else's life can compare to it. You have your grandfather, your mother, and even a surrogate father figure for a time to look up to while growing up. Naruto didn't have any of that growing up, or the love that comes with it. You think your life is bad, kid? Naruto's was 1,000 times worse?" answered Anko with Inari looking at her in shock, and so was the rest of his family. "Damn, I knew when I saw those eyes of his that the Gaki had it bad. But to know just how bad is something else," replied Tazuna while running a hand through his receding hairline. "I'm actually surprised this house is still standing with all of us still alive, Tazuna. Naruto showed a considerable amount of restraint towards your grandson. With the power he wields, plus his mood the Gaki here put him in, we should all be dead. And this entire country along with us," remarked Anko with the family around her, even Kurne. And Shino looked surprised by that. "He's really that strong?" asked Inari with Anko looking the boy dead in the eye. "Trust me, kid. That Gaki has the power to do things that would give you nightmares beyond Gato, beyond anything you have ever seen or known. Konoha is only standing because of a handful of people in our shinobi village, and I mean that in a literal sense, answered Anko with Shino nodding in agreement at that last part. Shit, whispered Tazuna to himself before letting out a sigh. With Naruto? If Naruto were a normal boy, still training to be a strong shinobi like he had long since desired in life, the area around him would be destroyed, and the terrain would be altered considerably. However, his fusion with Barragan, the ancient Hollow King's knowledge, and the Redhead's own consideration for the people living in this country were the only things preventing him from unleashing his power. Naruto knew that doing that would result in this country being destroyed in an instant, its people dead, the animals dead, and just about everything else would die. In short, Naruto had come to this place to be alone, reflect on his anger, and once more remind himself of what would happen if he unleashed his power. His power controlled life and death. Such power was literally in the palm of his hand to take life, and make it rot away if he wished it. Granted, the power to do the opposite was there too, but Naruto felt such power could not be used when angry, and wasn't about to try just yet. So with a great amount of restraint, Naruto walked over to a tree, and sat down in front of it, his energy sparking like electricity on occasion to show just how much restraint was being made on Naruto's part to not blow everything up, and closed his eyes to get some needed sleep. When morning came, Naruto sensed someone was nearby, his mind never fully asleep, as he had learned to do when growing up, and secretly monitored the figure heading in his direction while faking sleep. The red-haired Namikaze knew who this person was, as he had sensed this same chakra signature before, and continued to monitor this person with a certain bit of interest. What was Zabuza's subordinate doing here? Was it for spying on the house? Assassination maybe? Naruto's interest increased further when the figure was standing right in front of him, and sensed the fake hunter Nin was tense yet kept calm despite being so close. Curious, even more when he heard the sound of clothing move, his enemy kneeling, pausing for a few seconds, and contemplating on what to do next. Naruto waited, his body never moving, as he felt a hand moving closer, reaching for his neck, to grab, strangle, or maybe even snap it. Which one? Surprisingly, the hand didn't reach for his neck like Naruto thought, but rather went to his shoulder, gently touching it, and shaking him gently. You'll catch cold if you sleep here, came the soft soothing worried female voice in front of him. There are far worse things in this world to be concerned about than that of a simple cold, my dear, Naruto calmly countered while staring at the girl wearing a simple kimono. That's true, especially given your profession, replied the girl with a smile. Profession? Questioned Naruto with the girl looking at him with a raised eyebrow. You are a shinobi, correct? The headband is a clear giveaway, answered the girl with Naruto smirking at her, and mentally congratulated his enemy for using such a key detail to cover up the fact he never mentioned his occupation. True enough. What about? What is your occupation? Asked Naruto before standing, and the girl did the same. I don't have one, though I do have a certain skill in the medicinal arts. Hence why I am here searching for healing herbs for a special someone, answered the girl with Naruto raising his eyebrow now. I see. Your friend must be in considerable pain to venture here alone during these dark times of this country being oppressed. I am Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. What is your name? Asked Naruto with the girl pausing for a second. Haku? It's Haku, answered the girl with Naruto nodding. That's a lovely name, replied Naruto with Haku nodding. You're welcome, Naruto-san. If you will excuse me, I need to go collect some herbs before the local wildlife eats them, was Haku's response before she began walking away. And ruins your chance to properly heal Mamachi, Zabuza? Questioned Naruto with Haku stopping, her body going tense, and quickly formed senbon needles made of ice after quickly using her bloodline to manipulate the morning dew on the grass to bend to her command. How did you know? Whispered Haku in a deathly voice. Your chakra signature, my dear? You can change your appearance, your hair, eye color, and facial features all you want, but a chakra signature is unmistakable no matter what you do to yourself. Your chakra signature is the same one I encountered with my team when fighting Zabuza, and even your voice sounds similar despite how muffled it was behind the mist hunter Nin mask you wore. That was a very clever and deceptive plan you created to successfully escape with Zabuza, when he bites off more than he can chew when losing a fight. I commend you for it, answered Naruto with Haku throwing the senbon needles in her hand at him, but the redhead catches them easily, and then breaks them a second later. What now? Are you going to capture me? Interrogate me? Kill me? Questioned Haku, as she would tell him nothing, and would give her life to protect Zabuza. Nothing. Go about your business like it was a normal day for you, my dear, answered Naruto with Haku frowning at him. That's it? You're not going to try anything? Asked Haku while wondering if this was some kind of trick, or trap. No. You are not ready for a fight with me or my team? Neither is Zabuza? He'll be healed by the end of week, won't he? Questioned Naruto with Haku nodding. Yes, answered Haku with Naruto smiling. Excellent. Make sure he is 100% when the time comes for us to fight on the bridge. I will not have my victory over him remotely tainted by the fact he wasn't at peak performance, replied Naruto, as he began to walk away, and felt Haku's eyes on him the entire time. Very well. Oh, and for the record, I'm a boy, said Haku with Naruto stopping in mid-step before turning to face his enemy. One of the things I learned during my time growing up in Konoha was how to tell when someone is telling me the truth, and when they are lying. While you are a skilled liar, I can tell you are in fact a girl, and I understand why you lied to me about it, countered Naruto with Haku stiffening at being called out on her lie. You won't stop Zabuza-sama? You will kill the bridge builder? I will make sure of it, stated Haku with conviction in her voice. I have no doubt you will try, my dear. I look forward to seeing just how far you will go to ensure victory for him, replied Naruto before he walked away from her. Team 7 sometime later? So you encountered the fake mist hunter Nin, and gathered some valuable intel from her too. Not bad, Gaki. You're a regular lady killer, said Anko with a smirk on her face while Kirne, under her illusion, scowled at the idea of Naruto flirting with the girl that was their enemy's subordinate. Shino was silent. It's not like that. She's very protective of Zabuza on a fanatical level. We'll have to be cautious when fighting her. If given the chance, I have no doubt Haku will throw her life away to save Zabuza, or give him an opening to kill Tazuna, replied Naruto since he saw those eyes, and knew that Haku had that kind of devotion to the demon of the bloody mist. That kind of devotion at level in a shinobi is rare, but not unheard of, and should not be taken lightly when fighting one. It is said they fight like they are possessed by 100 warriors, moving faster, and hitting harder than a normal human being. They have the ability to push themselves to the brink when enraged, and can kill hundreds of people in their path, replied Shino with Naruto nodding in agreement. All the more reason to not let down your guard around her. Battles have been lost when one side with victory within their grasp underestimates the opposition when in a fight, replied Naruto with Kirne still scowling at him. And I suppose this girl interests you? Questioned Kirne while Naruto scowled back at her. My only interest I possibly have regarding Haku is the water manipulating ability I saw for a brief moment, and how to ensure she doesn't kill Tazuna, or make a move that could allow Zabuza to do it, answered Naruto, in a cold tone that told Kirne to watch her mouth. Good, because I will not have you break Hinata's heart by taking interest in an enemy kunoichi over her in the event you wish to capture her for the harem. Barragan helped negotiated for you on your behalf, countered Kirne with Anko letting out a sigh at this point. Kirne, he's got an arranged marriage with Inoichi's girl, and Tsume's eldest, so you can't say Naruto is going to be unfaithful to Hinata. Besides, he's still getting to know each one, and if he somehow captures this kunoichi for that reason is entirely up to him, said Anko with Kirne glaring at her. You sound like you almost support such an idea, Anko, accused Kirne with Anko shrugging at her. Hey, it happens, Kirne? How many kunoichi has Konoha captured during the 3 shinobi wars for the simple purpose of having bloodlines thrive, and make the power of the leaf grow? The other villages have done it too. Major and minor. Don't act like this is new to you, Kirne. Your fake nativity doesn't suit you, answered Anko with Shino raising an eyebrow upon hearing this. So capturing enemy kunoichi to one day impregnate them is a standard practice for all shinobi villages. This wasn't exactly covered during my second time going through the academy, stated Shino while Kirne glared at Anko for revealing that information to the 2 genin. Not surprising. It's not exactly public knowledge, and it's supposed to be known to chunin, or higher in level shinobi. Genin are allowed to be told by their jounin sensei if they by chance have a situation where they capture an enemy kunoichi, but that's an extremely rare thing, and happens once in a blue moon. We don't tell academy students, because it makes the heads of the boys think perverted things, risks their own sense of morality, and our potential clients possibly hearing about it from children kind of has them seek out shinobi for another villages, answered Anko with Shino nodding while Naruto had a slightly faraway look on his face. Kumo tried that with my mother and would have succeeded if not for my father's timely intervention, stated Naruto while the grip on his cane tightened noticeably. Then think about that before giving into the perverted idea of capturing this kunoichi for the sick purpose of making her your sex slave, remarked Kirne before she sent to the floor by an incredible amount of spiritual pressure for Naruto with the others struggling to stand due to the majority of it focusing on the disguised kunoichi. You have a lot of nerve saying that to me, you insect. You insult my honor? You insult my family on both sides by slandering me in the belief I would do that to a kunoichi because I'm male, and all males to you are perverted pigs that ogle women any chance they get? Exclaimed Naruto while leaning down, and grabbing the scared woman's face by the jaw so she could look him dead in the eyes. I'd let him ogle me, in a few years, thought Anko, as she was surprisingly turned on by the idea of being looked at by Naruto in such a lustful manner. and being taken by such a powerful being. Even if I did capture Haku during this mission, I would not treat her as you have rudely claimed I would, but rather see to it that she lives life peacefully under the protection of my clan, and I will see to it that anyone that makes the girl's life miserable while under my care answers to me," said Naruto before he let go of Kurene's face and lifted the spiritual pressure off of everyone. "In any case, we know Zabuza is recovering, this girl is healing him, and in a few days' time we fight them both with the future of this country at stake." "No pressure," replied Anko with Naruto nodding with Shino doing the same. Kurene weakly nodded before wiping the sweat off her face. "We'll be ready, though I think Kurene should stay behind under her disguise to watch over the family when the battle occurs," stated Naruto with Kurene looking at him in horror at the idea. "Why me?" demanded Kurene with a hint of anger in her voice. "Why not? You want to prove useful on this mission for a change. This is your chance to do it. Take it now or else I will send you back home via Garganta, and you can explain your actions in coming on this mission to the Hokage sooner than later," answered Naruto with Kurene going pale in the face and she knew he would do it and her career as a shinobi of the leaf would be put in serious jeopardy. Granted it already was but it would be sooner rather than later. "I understand," replied Kurene in defeat with Anko smirking. "Not bad Naruto-kun. You're a natural at taking command," exclaimed Anko cheerfully with Naruto shaking his head. "Grandpa Barragan was much better at it than I am. Besides, this woman isn't worthy of being a servant or slave to my family. She's just too weak in my eyes," replied Naruto before walking away from the shocked woman on the ground. "Ouch! Talk about a low blow, Kurene-chan. Then again, it was deserved for your own pre-verbal hits toward my student. Just count your lucky stars that he didn't decide to age you into an old hag," remarked Anko before she motioned for Shino to follow her. "Incomplete bridge days later? You showed up," remarked Zabuza with Haku by his side wearing her Hunter Nin mask. "Was there any doubt?" asked Naruto with Zabuza smirking behind his bandages. "No, I knew you would show up. Anyone with Uzumaki blood in them doesn't give up or run away. They stand and fight no matter the odds. Given all the shit I've heard about you, and the look in those blue eyes of yours, life hasn't been fun growing up," replied Zabuza with Naruto narrowing his eyes slightly. "No, it wasn't pleasant. Not in the slightest. I can tell it was the same for her too when we first spoke civilly a few days ago," answered Naruto with Haku tense slightly since she had done her best to hide that when they spoke. "Considering we are both from water country and Mist is responsible for the bloodline purges there," remarked Zabuza while glancing over at Haku. "So she's not a Kunoichi formerly of Mist?" questioned Naruto with Zabuza nodding. "I found her on the streets, basically homeless during the cold winter there, though I don't think it affected her too much on account of Haku's unique bloodline. She was only wearing rags for clothing and eating out of a dumpster," answered Zabuza while he was questioning himself on why he was answering the brat's question. "I know what that's like, digging for scrapes, trying to stay warm when there is no place to go and with so little on hand to survive," replied Naruto while looking directly at Haku now. "He's like me. We've suffered for different reasons, but our pain is similar," thought Haku, as she now wished to avoid fighting him and simply walk away with Zabuza to another job that paid well. But they couldn't. The client wanted the bridge builder dead. Zabuza had taken up the contract hit, and so did she to an extent. "It's a shame we had to be on opposite ends of this. I could offer you both a safe place to crash for a while. Maybe even talk to the Hokage about giving you both a chance to be Konoha shinobi. No more running. No more looking over your shoulder for Hunter Nin from Mist that may, or may not be pursuing you," said Naruto with Haku's head twitching slightly to stop herself from looking at Zabuza. "Yeah, it is a shame. Oh well, so be it. Come on Gaki, bring out that weapon of yours, and let's have ourselves a fight. You too Jounin. Haku, take care of the Aburame. Once he's down, take care of the bridge builder," replied Zabuza with Haku nodding. "That's pretty bold of you," remarked Anko with Zabuza raising a non-existent eyebrow at her while Haku moved to engage Shino near the bridge builder. "How so?" questioned Zabuza with Anko smirking. "Facing me is a challenge unto itself, but Naruto-kun here is on a whole other level. If you do know his history like I think you do, even the rumors no doubt floating around the elemental countries are what you've heard about him, chances are you know what he can do, and that fighting the two of us together is just plain suicidal," answered Anko with Zabuza looking at her and then Naruto. "So, is that supposed to frighten me?" asked Zabuza with Anko smirking further. "It should. But something tells me you don't care, and just want a good fight even if it is to the death. So here's what's going to happen. You want to fight? Fine. You fight Naruto here? Not the two of us against you? Just him versus you in a fight to the death," offered Anko with Zabuza now thinking her offer over before looking at the red-haired boy. "You better give me a good fight Gaki. I don't know whether to believe the rumors Haku heard about you or not. If you don't live up to your hype, I'm going to be pissed off, and take my anger out on your comrades after I behead you, stated Zabuza, with his sword ready, and saw Naruto's cane change into a battle axe. The same goes for you too, Zabuza. I honestly felt our last encounter was disappointing to say the least. I honestly expected better from someone who was once a member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. I hope this time you live up to your reputation, countered Naruto with Zabuza growling at him for the jab at his skills. With their words spoken, the two clashed against the other with their weapons, and the sounds of metal clanging against metal was heard. Zabuza's sword hitting the staff part of the battle axe more than the blade part. That was to be expected, of course, given how Naruto's weapon was designed like that, and the axe part was meant for a long-range kill. Zabuza's choice in a weapon was an all-over range kill, as he even up close if angled right could severely injure or kill the intended target. As the two warriors clashed violently against the other, Naruto was barely moving from his position, shifting his feet on occasion every so often, and pushing Zabuza back. As for Zabuza himself, the man was getting frustrated, as he used the hidden mist jutsu to make it difficult to see anything, and made it extra thick since he didn't have to worry about the jutsu draining his chakra too much since they were literally surrounded by water. In fact, the one with the greatest advantage at this moment was Haku, since her bloodline allowed for the manipulation of water to be turned into ice in any shape she desired, and it wasn't hard for the girl to call upon the vast reservoir below the bridge to be turned into a very dangerous weapon. This brat is good. He doesn't have to go on the offensive due to his strength somehow being greater than mine. All the brat has to do is shift his foot, keep his senses open, and block my attack with his weapon. Even if I make a water clone, something tells me that it wouldn't have the intended effect. And even if I sent one to kill the bridge builder, I still have to deal with the Joun and no doubt using her own senses to make sure I don't try it, thought Zabuza, as he kept trying to get through Naruto's defense to kill him. But he kept getting caught. His sword strikes were blocked and pushed back roughly several feet. You're doing far better than last time. Lasting longer too? Your skills are definitely that of a master. I commend you and your sword for withstanding my strength when wielding my Zanpakuto, said Naruto, with Zabuza sweating slightly from his various attempts to push against his weapon. You make it sound like my sword should have been destroyed by now, replied Zabuza, with Naruto looking at him dead in the eyes. Actually, I do think your sword should have been destroyed by now after taking all that abuse. It means your weapon is not your average sword you swing around just for show and intimidation. Not surprising considering it's a weapon of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. But even still, to withstand the abuse of my Zanpakuto deserves a great deal of praise from me, and I do not hand it out lightly, answered Naruto, with Zabuza narrowing his eyes at him through the mist. Just goes to show you that the swords from mist aren't to be taken lightly, especially mine, exclaimed Zabuza, as he pushed chakra into his feet, and moved faster than usual to get through Naruto's defense, and succeed. Zabuza knew that the boy was gauging his speed, acting accordingly to block it, and the demon of the bloody mist knew in order to get a hit on this kid required that his speed would have to be faster than expected. To move faster than his opponent was expecting, swing the weapon with all his strength, and injure if not kill the brat with the strike. Unfortunately for Zabuza, his strike, while hitting true in terms of hitting Naruto's flesh, it did not slice through the boy like he intended, and was shocked when the brat just looked at him with indifference before looking down where the blade had struck him just below the shoulder. The clothing was cut into, but the flesh behind it didn't even have a bruise, and yet Naruto himself was internally impressed Zabuza had managed to do even that. Not bad, Zabuza. You are indeed a credit to Miss Seven Swordsman program. You used your chakra to move faster than usual, if only for a moment, in order to do serious damage to me. However, I must confess that one of my powers is to slow time down, and I let your sword hit me. I wanted to see just how effective your weapon would be against my body's Yero, stated Naruto, with Zabuza looking at him in shock. You've been toying with me. This whole time you've been holding back your true power against me, exclaimed Zabuza, with Naruto just smirking at him. Trust me, Zabuza, if I were to use my full power on you, this entire bridge wouldn't even be standing, and neither would my team, replied Naruto before he frowned and looked off into the distance. You're bluffing, kid. This bridge is massive. No one person has that kind of power to destroy something like this unless they were a Jinchuriki, and if the rumors are indeed true, you're not one of them anymore, challenged Zabuza, with Naruto still frowning. That is true, I am no longer a Jinchuriki, but that doesn't mean I am weak, and don't have the power to do what I claim. If anything, I'm stronger than all the Bijou put together, and that includes the Kyuubi no Kitsune. However, that is another tale for another time, and you should cancel the mist you've set up around this bridge, replied Naruto, with Zabuza frowning at him with suspicion. Why? Asked Zabuza, with Naruto casually grabbing the blade from Zabuza's sword still against his shoulder, and moved it away like it was nothing. Because we have uninvited guests, answered Naruto before he used Sunito, and was now in the dome of ice mirrors Haku had created to combat Shino with the Aburame, looking like a pincushion while a large quantity of insect being killed by Senbon needles pinning them to the ground. Naruto-san, questioned Shino hopefully while seeing the boy appear before him. This fight ends now, stated Naruto while standing in front of Shino, and being a shield should Haku decide to send another volley his way. I cannot stop. The bridge builder must die so Zabuza's dream can live. It is nothing personal Naruto-san, but I must remove you and the Aburame so Zabuza can complete the contract, replied Haku, and shot Senbon needles at the red-haired boy, only for them to fall to the ground harmlessly after making contact. There is no need for us to fight anymore Haku? The contract you and Zabuza had with Gato is no longer valid? Look, countered Naruto, as he pointed down the edge of the bridge with Gato standing slightly in front of his army of mercenary thugs. Well, this is disappointing Zabuza. I was honestly expecting you deal with this group of shinobi easily given your reputation for being a master at killing people. Turns out you're simply incompetent and against a child no less. I can see the purple-haired slut not that far away could be a distraction with the way she dresses, but to be unable to kill the brats she had with her is just sad, and pathetic on so many levels. Not that it really matters since I'm never going to pay you for the job anyway, commented Gato with Zabuza growling at him. What? You slime! You broke the unwritten rule between client and shinobi, exclaimed Zabuza with Gato waving it off like it was nothing. Rules are made to be broken, especially by the client holding all the money a shinobi gets paid for doing their job. Besides, it's unwritten and therefore unenforceable despite how it's been honored since the way of shinobi has been in its infancy. Why should I pay you when killing you in your weakened state is so much better? I can then collect the bounty on your head and make quite the profit in the process, countered Gato with Zabuza looking like he was ready to explode with rage. There is just one problem with that scenario Gato, replied Naruto, as he walked over to Zabuza, and smirked at the crooked businessman. Oh, and what exactly is the problem I have regarding my plan? Questioned Gato with a sneer on his face. You are assuming we are all in a weakened state and all of us will fend for ourselves without uniting for the single purpose of destroying you, answered Naruto before his Zanpakuto turned into a cane and stomped at Har on the bridge with his power shaking it almost violently. Tazuna made a mental note to make sure the legs of the bridge weren't damaged in the long run of things. Impressive little trick boy, but we both know you shinobi use illusions and the like to make normal people fear you. You just used those explosive tags and harmless bombs to make us think you made the bridge shake like that, remarked Gato with his thugs going from slightly fearful to smug at his words. An illusion? Is that what you think I just did? If you love that then you will love this next little trick where I kill you all in one single shot, replied Naruto, as he raised his hand, his fingers spread out slightly, and purplish energy began to form at the tip of his fingers. And what little shinobi trick can make you do that? I may not know much about how those jutsus are used, but I know enough that there is no such jutsu capable of doing what you are threatening us with, countered Gato with Naruto smirking. You foolish little man, there are jutsus in this world that have the power to bend space and time. There are jutsus that can change entire landscapes from forest to desert in a span of a few seconds. But what I have in mind is not exactly a jutsu, it's something else in its entirety, something I've been experimenting with for quite some time, and now I get to test it against all of you pests, replied Naruto with his outstretched hand forming a purple energy, and his smile grew. That looks just like the Rasengan, only it looks like death itself is in it, thought Zabuza while he along with everyone else behind him was getting a good long look at the orb of energy. Among the Espada who are the strongest of Arankars, each has the ability to use this power forming in my hand called a Sero, and a special version that was banned within the walls of Las Noches in the land of Hueco Mundo, explained Naruto while the orb solidified perfectly in the outstretched palm. Huh, what the hell are you talking about brat? There is no such place as Las Noches, or Hueco Mundo, barked Gato with Naruto smirking slightly. Don't concern yourself with the names since they are well beyond your understanding, and from a place beyond your reach. As for Arankars forming Seras, some of the Espada had special Seros unique only to themselves, and each one was potent in their own right. However, my grandfather Barragan had no such Sero, which is a shame since it would have been truly a magnificent power to behold, and to be feared because of it. In honor of the former king of Hueco Mundo, I have created this Sero in his memory, and honor you all with being the first to witness what it can do, even if most you won't live long enough to tell anyone what this Sero will do to you, replied Naruto with Gato scoffing. You're bluffing, don't listen to that punk kid. Kill him, Zabuza, and the brat with shades. Save the women for later. Once my boys return from Tazuna's place with his family, I can have some fun with his daughter, and leave the other girl to the rest of you guys for extra payment for your troubles, commanded Gato with his arm. of hired thugs smiling at the idea. Fool, you act like some god when all you really are in this world is a little man hiding behind an army that is paid to fight for you. You throw them away like cannon fodder because the fewer troops you have, the fewer you have to pay, and take money out of your deep pockets. No, your words have only brought about your death. Now do the world a favor when the Sero hits you. Rot and die. Sero respira, exclaimed Naruto, as he unleashed his Sero from his hand, and it shot toward the horrified army of thugs charging his way. Those that it hit first were given a quick and merciful death. Those that leaped out of the way were not so lucky. When an Rancor, or hollow like a Manos Grande for example uses a Sero, it destroys whatever it hits, burning whatever the beam initially misses, and leaving a path of untold destruction in its wake. Naruto's Sero, however, it was something else entirely. It was designed to use the power to make things rot and die as a long-range weapon similar to how the Respira was used in a similar form, only instead of spreading it out like the Respira itself, it was concentrated, compressed, controlled, and when unleashed would make just about anything around the Sero rot and die. And boy did his targets die. The thugs that managed to somehow dodge the Sero found their bodies decaying before their eyes, screaming out in pain, as their skin, their flesh, and bones began to dissolve into nothingness. The shinobi behind him watched in shock and horror at the sight of their enemies dying in such a horrible manner. The thugs were pleading for mercy, begging Kami to spare them, even begging Naruto to show mercy and reverse what he had just done to them. Gato him had run to the side of the bridge, somehow managing to dodge the Sero, and not rotting from the after-effects of the attack. He watched Naruto looking at him with disgust, and the businessman looks back in fear at what that single Sero could do. I'll say this only once to you, kid. You scare the living shit out of me, remarked Zabuza with Naruto smirking back at him. Come now, Zabuza, is that any way to thank the person who is handing Gato over to you, and the chance for revenge against the pig that broke the unwritten rule of the shinobi world? Questioned Naruto, as he saw Zabuza frown for a moment, turn to see Gato, and then smile sadistically behind his bandages. You're alright in my book, Gaki, replied Zabuza before leaping over to where Gato was leaning against the railing of the incomplete bridge decaying slightly from where the Sero was launched. Wait, show mercy, Zabuza, and I'll pay you 3 times your rate, exclaimed Gato with Zabuza growling at him. Only 3? Questioned Zabuza with Gato squirming under his presence. Without his thugs to back him up, Gato was just a pathetic piece of shit that could walk. 5 times your rate, offered Gato with Zabuza leaning down so he was face to face with the businessman. You can do better than that, countered Zabuza while moving his sword on his shoulder slightly so the tiny man would take the hint. 8 times the going rate, exclaimed Gato fearfully while Zabuza thought about it for a moment. Still not high enough. I'll give you one last chance, so you better make it count, replied Zabuza, with the shaking businessman going pale in the face. 10 times your going rate. 10 times what was first offered, yelled Gato with Zabuza smirking. Deal, replied Zabuza with Gato looking happy with that. Thank you, Zabuza. You won't regret it, said Gato with Zabuza smirk increasing behind his bandages, before slicing the man's right arm clean off. You're right about that, replied Zabuza with Gato screaming out in pain. We had a deal. You agreed to show me mercy, exclaimed Gato with Zabuza letting out a cruel laugh. But I am being merciful. Dying by my hands is probably the most merciful thing that could happen to you at this moment. So shut up and die, countered Zabuza before he sliced Gato's head clean off his body with both falling off the bridge into the water below. Oh, I wanted more, whined Anko while she saw Zabuza shrug when he walked over to the group. Then he shouldn't have made such a pricey deal with me, answered Zabuza before he, Naruto, and Anko laughed at the situation. Well, it cost me a good chunk of the bridge, but considering that the end result is my country no longer being under the rule of a tyrant, I can live with it, remarked Tazuna, as he saw the section of the bridge where Naruto shot the Sero Respira had decayed, and fell into the water below. Your people are free from Gato's reign. I don't suppose you know where the piece of human filth was staying, Zabuza, replied Naruto with Zabuza nodding. Yeah, I know where he was living. Nice little fortress he set up for himself, should have a few people in it guarding the area, and waiting for his return. Why? Answered Zabuza with the red-haired boy smirking. The man no doubt brought a large chunk of his money to this place in order to pay for his army, which you can take, and anything else of financial value as compensation for your troubles with my team, answered Naruto with Zabuza smirking. Nice. Haku and I will have to go through a few of the guards there, but it's a small price to pay for the pig fucker's money, remarked Zabuza, with Naruto nodding. Oh crap. Gato mentioned something about sending some of his thugs after my family, exclaimed Tazuna with Naruto frowned, and focused for a moment before smiling. They are alive and unharmed, a little frightened, but relieved to be out of danger, said Naruto with Tazuna letting out a sigh of relief. And our teammate guarding them? Asked Shino while making sure his words did not reveal that Kyurne was watching over the client's family instead of Sakura. She's alive too. A little drained, but unharmed as well, answered Naruto with Anko smirking since she knew Kyurne might be alive now. But that was going to change once they got back to Konoha. Come on Haku, we have a crappy fortress to raid and retrieve what was promised for our services, commanded Zabuza, with Haku nodding, but the girl looked at Naruto for a second, and then followed her master. She may have that mask on, but I think that girl has a crush on you Naruto-kun, said Anko in a teasing voice. You're imagining things, countered Naruto with Anko smirking. Am I? Or could it be that your sensei can sense these things? Challenged Anko while Naruto smirked at her. Then you should be able to sense yourself, remarked Naruto with Anko blushing a bit at his own teasing. Shut up. You can't talk that way to your Jounin sensei, challenged Anko with Naruto just kept smirking at her. Try and stop me, was Naruto's response before he used Sanito, and was gone from her sight while getting the last word. Oh, he is so dead when I get my hands on him, exclaimed Anko, as she fumed at being teased by Naruto, but also that he got the last word, and laugh over her. Something tells me Naruto has nothing to worry about, thought Shino, as he watched his sensei curse up a storm while she stomped back to the house, and looked over at Tazuna to see him sweat drop. You guys may be the best, but all of you are super weird, remarked Tazuna with Shino just nodding since he couldn't dispute it. You have no idea, was Shino's only response while they walked back to the house. 2 weeks later at the now completed bridge. You really have to go huh? Asked Tazuna with all the people there to bid them farewell. We have to get back to the Hokage, and give our report now that the bridge is completed along with our mission, answered Anko with Tazuna nodding. Sorry about lying to you guys regarding my protection detail, replied Tazuna while he scratched the back of his head. Maybe if you cut back on drinking, you wouldn't have that problem, offered Tsunami with Tazuna looking like he was ready to die at the notion he should quit drinking. Why do you have to be so mean? Asked Tazuna with tears running down his eyes. You're going to visit, right? Asked Inari with Naruto smirking before putting his hand on the boy, and ruffling his hair. Of course, I want to see how strong you've become in my absence Inari. That and your grandfather has a hefty bill to pay our village, answered Naruto with Tazuna looking deflated at hearing those words. I knew it, mumbled Tazuna with the group of Konoha shinobi letting out a chuckle. Where is Zabuza, and that Haku girl? Did they leave already? Asked Tsunami since she had been told what happened on the bridge by Naruto and Anko. Nah, we are waiting for you guys to finish your mushy farewells, replied Zabuza, as he appeared behind the Konoha shinobi with Haku without her mask on. And where are you two going to go from here on out? Questioned Anko with Zabuza looking at Haku, and the girl blushing slightly while she tried not to stare at Naruto. Well, after talking it over, we felt that running around for so long with one eye open, and half-empty stomachs wasn't for us anymore, and thought that perhaps, being part of Konoha's forces wouldn't be so bad, answered Zabuza. With Haku nodding? What about Mist? Rumor has it, you tried to oust the Mizukage, and wanted to take over in his place without the needless killing of those with bloodlines, questioned Anko with Zabuza shrugging. At one point I did, but as strong as I am right now, I'm not Cage material, or even at the level of Cage so someone could easily take me out. Besides, I know the current leader of the rebels in Water Country is way stronger than me, and she's more suited to leading Mist once Yagura is taken down, answered Zabuza with Naruto thinking things over in his head. Perhaps, Konoha can work something out in aiding the rebels, so you can participate in the war, and help this individual take over as the new Mizukage. Questioned Naruto with Zabuza nodding in agreement since that would work. That is if the current Hokage will accept us? Haku won't have a problem since she isn't an official shinobi, and her bloodline is something to behold too, replied Zabuza, with Haku blushing slightly, as all eyes looked at her, and dared not look Naruto in the eyes. I can't vouch for Haku-san on that last part. Her manipulating of water, and turning it into ice is very impressive. It's quite similar to the second Hokage's own water manipulating abilities, replied Shino knowing that having the support of one of the clan heirs of a well-respected clan like the Aburame clan would go a long way. The current Hokage is my godmother, so vouching for you with Shino's help shouldn't make things too difficult. However, I should warn you that the last Uchiha will no doubt set his sights on Haku, and use his clan status to arrange some kind of marriage between the two. As it stands, I can offer Haku protection under my clan, and even stay with me until she finds a suitable home for herself. But the same cannot be said for Yuzabuza since the protection clause only applies to those with bloodlines since Konoha loves them just as much as Mist hates them with a passion, added Naruto with Haku looking at the man, who trained and raised her since finding her eating scraps out of the garbage. I can't live with that. Besides, Haku needs to start her own life and can't always follow me around like a servant, or something else, answered Zabuza much to Haku's shock. But Zabuza-sama protested Haku, but Zabuza shook his head, and looked at the girl right in the eyes. I know I called you a tool in the past, Haku, and for a while I believed it was the truth. It's not. The truth is, I've come to see you as the daughter I always wanted. If you don't use this chance to be dependent on yourself, chances are you'll never be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And we both know I won't live forever. What will happen when I'm dead? You have to live your life away from my influence, and being with the Gaki here is the way to do it. Even if we don't live under the same roof, it doesn't mean we still can't work together on missions when needed, said Zabuza with Haku nodding before she hugged him, and the man sighed. Thank you, Zabuza-sama, replied Haku with a smile and tears running down her face. Yeah, I know. Okay, enough of the mushy stuff, Haku. I have a reputation to uphold, exclaimed Zabuza while prying the girl off. I believe this is what Kiba often refers to as blackmail material, correct? Questioned Shino to Naruto in a whispered tone. Yes. Yes it is? Just be sure to know when to use it when the time is right, replied Naruto in an equally whispered tone. I heard that, exclaimed Zabuza while glaring at the 2 genin. Alright, time to go home to Konoha? Say Naruto, is it safe for all of us to go through that Garganta thing you can do? Questioned Anko with Naruto nodding. It is. I could have done back in Konoha to get to Wave Country, but I think the old man here would have had a heart attack. And I'm not really sure how they will feel about it, answered Naruto while pointing the 2 new additions to the group. I'm not that old, mumbled Tazuna with everyone giving him a pointed look that said yes you are. Before focusing back to the means of getting to Konoha, what is this Garganta? I've never heard of it, questioned Zabuza with Naruto smirking at him. And then the boy looked at Anko currently smirking too. You could say it's new, but it is reliable. Though I should warn you, it can be a bit scary to first-timers, answered Naruto with a grin with Anko smirking, and trying to hold back her laughter since she knew what he was referring to regarding the means of transport. Hell, she damn near pissed her panties when she chose to wear them. The one time that Naruto used it to get the 2 of them over to the Namikaze estates so his parents could look over the curse seal on the back of her neck. It had been shortly after his parents had been brought back to life, and Tsunade had been put into office as the new Hokage. The boy's godmother had been going over things about the village's state of affairs when it was run by her former sensei, and came across Orochimaru's history in trying to make the curse seal with Anko being the only survivor of the very first prototype. The curse seal wasn't active, but the mark itself combined with the woman's history with Orochimaru, and why she left with no memory of past events leading up to her leaving him, had left the village despising the special Jounin, now turned Jounin sensei, almost as much as they had hated Naruto. The female Hokage had summoned Anko to her office shortly before summoning Naruto, and told him about the situation regarding the curse seal. Tsunade figured that if anyone could provide a way out for Anko in getting the snake child loving, in a bad kind of way, mark off of her, it would be Naruto, his father, and his mother too, since 3 of them were basically seal masters of the highest level. Sure enough, the 3 Arankars of the Namikaze household had figured out what to do with Anko's curse seal, and determined that the curse seal had Orochimaru's chakra mixed with a portion of his very soul in it to allow the snake to leap from body to body when needed. They were able to purge Orochimaru's curse seal from her body using one of the various Uzumaki clan seals held within the vault of the Namikaze estates that was designed to remove any form of corrupted chakra from the chakra network without killing the person wearing it, which was soon followed by Naruto devouring that part of Orochimaru's soul, and incidentally unlocking the woman's past memories of how she escaped her former teacher's hold. As it turned out, Orochimaru did not abandon her, but rather Anko had denounced him, and refused to follow through with his twisted plans. The Sannin altered her memory of the events into making Anko believe otherwise, and from that moment on a great weight had been lifted off the special Jounin's shoulders. It was actually through this initial course of action that led Anko to becoming Naruto's Jounin sensei when the Genin teams were being formed, and agreed almost instantly when Tsunade made the offer to her first before anyone else. In fact, Anko has nearly screamed out yes the moment she heard Naruto's name right off the bat, and promised to teach whoever she had to so long as Naruto was on the team. We can't take it, spoke Zabuza confidently with Haku nodding. Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you, replied Naruto before he focused on opening the Garganta behind Zabuza and Haku, with the result being a disturbingly high shriek of the girlishly high proportions being heard for miles. And yet the most disturbing thing about this girly shriek made for all to hear was that it did not come from Haku. That was very unmanly, thought Shino with a raised eyebrow. Okay, wish I hadn't heard or seen that, remarked Naruto with Zabuza hyperventilating at the side of the dark hole that seemed to tear open behind him. If we live through this thing, I'm going to kick you in the balls. whispered Haku while Zabuza hoped she was talking to Naruto, though deep down he knew that wasn't the case. Konoha Hokage Tower sometime later? You know I'll never get used to seeing that, remarked Tsunade with seeing the Garganta had closed to reveal most of Genin Team 7, Kyurne no longer in the disguise of being one Hiruno Sakura, and was shocked to see Zabuza, along with Haku heaving on the floor. No doubt since it's fairly new and being used by me, replied Naruto with his godmother now looking at Zabuza, and Haku? Not only that but you even brought one missing nin from Mist and his subordinate to my doorstep, questioned Tsunade with Naruto nodding. Yes, though they wish to join Konoha, Zabuza is the only one classified as a shinobi, said Naruto before explaining what he knew about Zabuza's relationship with Haku, and how she came into his service before adding what the two want in exchange for joining Konoha. I see. Well, that helps clear things up. I never understood the Mizukage's reasons for the bloodline purges, nor did I approve of them. Not only that, but Haku here has a bloodline that is damn near related to my great-uncle, and could possibly be on par with his skills, replied Tsunade, as she saw hope in Haku's eyes of living a happy life, and saw the girl step forward before bowing. I would be honored to fight for you, Hokage-sama. I also have experience in the medical arts too, and have used herbs to heal Zabuza-sama's wounds after a battle, stated Haku, as she hoped her credentials were enough to qualify in being a Konoha shinobi, and learn how to improve her own skills, and I would love for you to fight for me. The problem is complicated because of the damn councils. Or rather the civilian council will be a problem since they seem to have it in their heads that they have a say in shinobi affairs, and with the fire daimyo giving them his unofficial backing will cause bumps in the road for you joining our ranks, both of you, replied Tsunade with Zabuza raising an eyebrow at her. Seriously? Civilians have a say in shinobi affairs? That's like having a peasant farmer have a say on how a samurai should act. It makes no sense. Why is the fire daimyo even supporting them? Has the guy lost his fucking mind, or something? Asked Zabuza with Tsunade sighing. Sadly no. It's because the civilian council doesn't like Naruto, and by that extension the same is said about the fire daimyo. In fact, the daimyo didn't like Naruto before when my godson was a Jinchuriki, and will no doubt try to make things hard for you two to live in Konoha. Haku will have better odds on account of her bloodline, but the civilian council will bitch to me about her being the Uchiha's wife, and get the daimyo's backing on the matter, replied Tsunade with Naruto scowling. Not while I'm alive, he not. Haku is under the protection of my clan, and no bastard for a feudal lord is going to make her become some Uchiha's submissive housewife he can use just for the purpose of having offspring. Sasuke is a prick and insane in the head with his only reason for passing being the fire daimyo, exclaimed Naruto furiously with his power spiking, and could sense Zabuza was doing the same. This Uchiha brat won't get within 500 yards of Haku while I can still swing my sword in my arms, Hokage-sama, so you better tell those council members and the fire daimyo to take such an idea should they voice it to shut their fucking mouths on the subject, said Zabuza while Tsunade sighed knowing this was going to cause headaches. I know. For now Haku will be staying at the Namikaze estates with Naruto, as per the rules of someone being under the protection of a clan, but you Zabuza need to have a chat with me, and a few others about Mist, since you want to help the rebels in their fight against the Mizukage, stated Tsunade with the two nodding. There is also one more piece of business, Hokage-sama, added Anko before she looked at Kyurne, who sighed behind her Sakura disguise, and then dispelled the Genjutsu to reveal herself to the Hokage. I knew it. I sensed something was off with you from the moment when I first fought this group, exclaimed Zabuza while seeing Tsunade glaring at Kyurne. You have some serious explaining to do, Jounin Yuhi Kyurne, and depending on what I hear from you will decide on whether or not your career as a shinobi is over. At the very least, you will be demoted back down to Chunin, or maybe even down to Genin if I find ending your career to be too merciful, stated Tsunade with the woman going pale in the face. A Genin, at her age, it would be humiliating, degrading. She'd never be able to walk through the streets of Konoha with her head held high again. I cannot explain my actions, Hokage-sama. I was at fault from the start when accepting Genin Hiruno Sakura's offer to secretly take her place in disguise on the mission to Wave Country, replied Kyurne with Tsunade narrowing her eyes. Actually, it's both of your faults, and make no mistake, Sakura will be punished after I am done with you. Now why did you accept her offer? Questioned Tsunade with Kyurne getting nervous knowing her answer would be the end of her career. She wanted to kill Naruto in secret, Hokage-sama, answered Anko for her friend with Tsunade's eyes widening in shock before narrowing dangerously. I see. I think I know why that is, since it has something to do with my godson having those 3 arranged marriages with one of them being Hyuga Hinata. Your former charge, correct? Deduced Tsunade with Kyurne reluctantly nodding. She planned to get close to him after careful observations were made and would then strike when a moment presented itself, added Anko with Naruto scoffing. Even if she did make an attempt to strike me down, My Yarrow prevents such attempts on my life to be fruitless, and just result in her weapon breaking, stated Naruto with Zabuza nodding since he had seen that skill in action. The fact she was planning to make an attempt on your life alone is treasonous since you are a shinobi of Konoha, not to mention the only male Uzumaki in the village. You are also technically the last Namikaze too on account of your parents being dead. But that's beside the point, and how to punish Kyurne will be addressed now, stated Tsunade while she glared at Kyurne. I will accept any punishment you give me, Hokage-sama, even death, replied Kyurne with Tsunade glaring at the woman. Death is too merciful for you, Kyurne? You interfered on a mission, attempted to kill a Konoha shinobi, the last of 2 clans, and my godson of all people just to preserve the image of a shy Hyuga girl you didn't want to see grow up. It's inexcusable and you will be punished in the harshest way I know how, said Tsunade with Kyurne nodding while at least mentally sighing in relief at not dying. I understand, Hokage-sama, stated Kyurne while awaiting sentence. Yuhi Kyurne, for your actions against Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, I hereby order your shinobi license be revoked in its entirety, and sentence you to living the rest of your life as a servant of the shinobi you tried to kill. You will be given a seal that binds you to the clan, Naruto, and his family while still keeping your abilities as a shinobi to further defend the family from harm, commanded Tsunade with Kyurne looking like she had just been told that the Kyuubi had somehow manifested itself, and was being offered as a sacrifice to the Bijou. Wow, that's harsh, mumbled Zabuza with Kyurne looking ready to faint. How deliciously evil. I could get Kyurne a sexy maid outfit and convince Naruto to have her wear it, thought Enko while perverted ideas ran through her head, and planned to make things more exciting around the Namikaze home. When you aren't taking orders from Naruto, his parents can in his place, but you will ultimately answer to him, and him alone. His wives will have the power to order you around too, but they can't give you orders that will supersede his own, added Tsunade with Kyurne struggling to stand. This can't be happening, thought Kyurne before she looked behind her at Naruto, and saw his eyes looking direct at her. All they revealed to Kyurne was that the now former Kunoichi was going to have one hell of a job keeping that boy happy while under his employ.